Hey everyone. As of recording this, as of posting this video yesterday, we had a member in our Discord community do a stream of doing a ranking structure of every song that I had ever publicly posted, released, going back from as early as writing music under Time After Ashes to as recent as this last record that just came out this past Friday. So this was a really cool experience to see because no one had ever done this before. And we were able to get this recorded. And I wanted to share this unabridged version of this because it's a long video, over 3 hours, you know? So it took stamina to get through it, but I'm very grateful that we did this. It was fun. And this is an example of stuff that we do in my Discord specifically. So if this is something you like and you want to be part of future conversations or little things like this, you know, links to everything will be down in the description. So there you go. Simon, thank you so much for doing this. I appreciate your insight, your feedback, your analytics, and your synopsis of every song that I've done. This was fun. For those of you who don't know, Simon is a guy I've done music with before in the past. I've posted on this channel, so you've seen us do things with covers. He's been a feature now on this last record that just came out. So I take what he says back, his feedback a little bit more, you know, to heart. You know, he's a good guy. He's a great musician. And this was fun. Ryan, thank you so much for being able to record this for me. It really means a lot because it's nice to have an archive of this. I will maybe one day, not soon, but one day I would like to go back and just take a look at it and see how far even all that stuff feels dated with future things. So anyway, enough of that. Enjoy this unabridged, uncut version. Thank you for everyone who joined yesterday. So many people to even, you know, think of the names on the spot. But yeah, thanks for keeping this fun. Thanks for everything that you do, and enjoy.
Please mute. That counts towards...
Yeah.
There we go. All right. I will look like I'm on not mute, but I've got my mic selected, so yeah. All right, let's do this.
So basically what I'll do, I'll have the song playing. I'll read... Wait. I'll read what I had written before, well, listening and giving my honest opinions on things. And then I'll give the ranking, and if Randy wants to say something, or comment on the song, or comment or whatever. And and spoilers, I'll probably be meaner at the beginning and less meaner at the end. Which technically it's a good sign.
That means growth.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, one again, that's just finished. I wrote the bits with the guitars are very muddy. The vocal productions on Derek's cleans are pretty weak. Overall, overall the vocals are too on top of the instrumentals. The melody in the chorus is pretty catchy, and the drums sound pretty good. That's what I wrote. I write as I'm going, so some things are very specific to that specific section of the song. Yeah. And basically, I gave it a D because overall the audio quality, it's pretty... I'm starting to learn these things.
Yeah.
And if it had a better production, I would... overall the songs here would get a boost, at least one ranking.
Yeah.
But you
Context
can hear
is this whole album was... It was released in 2017, so that was 5 years ago. But we wrote one again. We wrote most of those songs in 2015, 2016. So I did not know how to properly mix or master at the time. So these are tracks that production-wise are 5 to 7 years old, and it shows as time goes on.
Yeah.
Personally, I don't like listening to From Tragedy. That's the name of this album that he's going over right now. Time After Ashes was before I decided to just make it Randy and all that stuff. From Tragedy is an experimental album, which is why, like, this song that's playing right now while he's talking is very kind of introducing some synth stuff while having guitars and stuff. It was all experimenting, but I had no idea what the hell I was doing, and it shows. So I'm a 25-year-old kid at the time trying to figure out, you know, layers and stuff, and I didn't know production. I knew how to write music, I knew how to be catchy with things, and I knew the piano, but I was learning guitar, and we were so green, we were so new, me, Emilio, and Derek. didn't know what we were doing. So at the time, Emilio, I think, was a senior in high school. He had not even graduated yet when we started working on the album. So to show like how young all of us kind of were, it shows. But yeah, that one again was the album opener because it was the first song we had ever written as Time After Ashes, and it was the first song I completed, and I liked that to be a good opener to introduce that, like, this is kind of us just playing around, because even that song had different elements happening in it. When mixed right, you would hear those elements, but that was the first song I ever written, so I made that the album opener.
Yeah, and you'll notice there's songs that have more critique, but that one necessarily was like, if it was well produced, it would be great, but it's not. There's some songs that I actually have feedback on actual songwriting, but that's also things you learn with experience.
Yeah.
So, one again, D.
That's fair.
Descent, that just finished. Like, we're listening to the instrumental, so we can actually...
We'll catch up. We'll move quick and catch up to the instrumental.
No, I mean, because when I'm noted, like, telling things on the vocals, I can't actually show exactly what it is, because otherwise we'll be here forever. But in Descent, there's, like, some parts where the singing is kind of speeding up to match, which probably makes it be like, there's a lot of words sometimes that actually need to find their place on the song. The drums in the chorus have a pretty cool kick. The clean guitars sound nice. Vocals are still very on top, which is, again, a mixing thing. Feel like sometimes the song needs a little bit of a breather, because the vocals are constantly going on. The introduction of the bell rings makes it sound fresh. There's finally a breather in the song, but it was too short in my opinion. I think at the end when we're building until the end, it lacks power from like a big background vocals to kind of give that like push. And the outro sounds very Randy. And overall, I'll give it also a D, because there was a lot of things I could critique. It's also a better production, and I think you nailed a bit of it on the live thing afterwards. Spoiler. But yeah, so far it's still a D, because it's a great introduction to kids, but it's still very mature because it's self-produced.
Yeah, I think with the Sen, it needs more vocal layers. That didn't come to a way layer. So a lot of songs, I suspect you will say that it sounds weak, because I just did 2 vocal takes of the same melody as the lead, or Derek would do the same thing, and then we would just adjust it like that, and then that was that. There's no harmonies, there's no... Yeah. So.
And also, if you did all the vocal layers back then, they would probably be a mess.
That's why I didn't do it. Fun fact about the Sendo, that second album, here's actually something everybody here on the panel can be like, hey, look at that. I actually wrote the initial, I swear to God on this, I wrote the initial demo at an Apple store because I was killing time waiting to get seen. So
on an iPad?
No, I got on a Mac. I opened up the Logic, and I think it was the kick. I have to go take a look. I have the original demo out there. It was called, I think, Isolated Incident or something like that. And I took the drum pattern I exported it, I saved it, and I airdropped it to my phone as a WAV file, so it was lossless. Took that home, and then wrote Descend. So the demo of Descend was initially written at a San Diego Apple store. And everybody was coming around, ooh, what are you doing? They're like, what's he doing?
He's actually doing stuff on the demo computers.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and I was just killing time because it was a long wait. So it was me, my friend Jordan, and I think Derek was with me or something, and I was just killing time.
I thought people would just open the computers, open Safari, and then close it. He's actually
now they just have that Billie Eilish Ocean Eyes preload in there. So, but back then you could just open up Logic and write music, and
there's Ocean Eyes. So they have Ocean Eyes on the MacBooks now. I need to go to an Apple store.
Yeah,
if they have it here. So, D. Finally breaking Sounds a lot like Randy synths, and those leads too. The guitars sound industrial AF, but they're not wide enough at all, and that would help bring the melodies at the center to shine more, because they are conflicting a little. The vocals are a bit out of pitch in most places here. Now the vocals, on the part more to the end of the song. Now the vocals are pretty hidden in places and on top of, and some parts are hidden, some parts are on top. And in the part where you sing "Because of You" and "Forward," the part of the mix is a mess. And I'd say it's mostly EQ stuff, because it's not like there's a lot of things going on, but somehow there's like conflicting frequencies. And this was where I was the most mean, but I gave it an F because I wouldn't listen to it again on that.
Harsh.
Yeah. How it sounds.
That's mean, but it's fair. It's all fair.
I am being fair. I'm not being nice, but I'm not being mean.
No. That's a fair criticism. I think you're spot on with the frequency situation and the pitch. Most of this album, if any of it, I don't think there's any pitch correction. If it is, I didn't use flex. I don't think flex was out yet. I can go in and like adjust manual notes to align. So that's raw. I thought I was like, oh, it'd be more rocker to just give you the authentic performance. And I was like, damn,
that's how metalheads do it.
That's how they do it with their screams and stuff like that. But even Finally Breaking does have some of the fewer layers that guitar, drum, bass, synth, vocal, and even then with just those five, there was a frequency clash going on. So yeah, that's a fair assessment.
Okay. 3:10 a.m. That's the time. Steph is not asleep yet. The intro being MIDI kind of ruins the thing. I felt like it was MIDI. It was not a guitar. I think
that this little D.
This part, yeah.
The D thing going on is MIDI.
Okay. It sounded very MIDI. I think starting a song like that kind of ruined, like from the beginning. But
Sure.
the scrap guitar, but then there's the scrap and the guitars, and it sounds pretty good. The voice here is peak Drayman style, like the voice you do. The chorus is the best so far on the album. It's a bit sad that the mix is still kind of putting the voice too on top of the instrumental. The screams pre-chorus are great. The scream into the bridge and the bridge itself are great. Reminds me of the scream you did for One More Light on the cover. The whole chants here, kinda where this part would be, needed that big group singing to give like the and the last chorus leading to the end needed that high frequency leading up to fill it up, because they're like the song is there, but it feels like there should be like a lead guitar or something on top to fill that up. And I gave it a C.
Hey, that's what happens when you finally get Emilio to do some guitars. The MIDI part was the MIDI part, but it's interesting to see it start to climb once all three members are actively involved. This album was also written after Emilio graduated high school and immediately went into the Marine Corps. So he was gone and deployed for most of this. But the stuff that I was able to scrape with him turned to be some of my favorites with the rock stuff, 310 being one of them. 310 was the demo name because I finished working on the demo at 3:10 in the morning. And Derek was on my couch like this. Like, I was like, hey man, I got it. And he was like, what? Like, check it out. And I showed him the demo. He was like, yeah, that sounds good. Let's talk about it in the morning. And he just went back to sleep. So I was like, all right, 3:10 it is. That thing right there happening in the playback with the strings, that started to become a signature Ta thing where I would add these little outro interludes to contrast the heaviness as a palate cleanser for your ears. So that's what happened here. That strings was just to give you a break from all the guitars and screaming and everything. This whole song is just me screaming, just to see how far I could push it. So needless to say, no pitch correction because there was no pitch. It was just screams.
You can barely pitch correct screams as it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like you have to have like back then, not as much now, but back then you had a lot of outros like after the song.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
that was a thing to. Again, we're just I didn't know. I was like, I don't like song structures that are verse, chorus, bridge, chorus, outro. That's boring to me. So let me add an interlude in there somewhere and just change it up. So,
okay, Can't Fight It.
that's not next.
No. Oh, okay. Fuck. Never Done.
That's it. Only because I hear it playing right now. I was like, wait, that's not the next song.
Yeah, like I was looking at Never Done and I was like, scroll. The crunchy bass here, though. That's what I wrote. It's like
What'd you write?
The crunchy bass here, though. That's what I wrote. It's a
Crunchy
positive.
bass. What does that mean?
Like, you know, like, oh, but that bass though.
Yeah, basically that. Like in a good way. Like
Yeah.
Derek is pretty good at rapping.
Yes.
I wish those support vocals were a bit louder with some saturation, because they kind of are very hidden, and you don't hear them unless you're actually looking for them. This song sounds the most pro so far, and the white synths sound very good, and I gave it a C.
Hey. Yeah, Never Done was a later song I wrote. This is when I was experimenting away from rock, and I was like, ooh, I could do stuff with synths. Again, this is pre like tech YouTube space of me, so I didn't know that was a strength of mine. And I was just making noises, and it just sounded good to the ear. I wasn't good with EQ, obviously, because you keep failing my songs with the bad EQ. So I wasn't good with.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't complain about it here on this.
Yeah,
one.
because at this point, I was like, I just went with whatever sounded good.
Yeah.
Fun fact about Never Done, Derek, he took this song personally because this is his song, why he's rapping on it, because in the production side of it, people were talking that schmack about Derek, and they're like, he's not adding value to the music. He's not adding. He doesn't offer anything. Because we were releasing some of the singles by this time. I think One Again came out as a single, and I think Finally Breaking or Descend, one of them came out, and Derek is very absent or not at all present. And then they're like, why do you have that guy? I had friends in the music space who knew me and knew Derek. They're like, why do you have him with you? And they didn't understand the value that he brought. So Never Done was a response to the people saying that Derek is dead weight. So that's why
like
he's crushing it here.
Kind of like the Get Me Gone song from Linkin Park. From not Linkin
Minor?
Park, the Park Minor, yeah.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. I gave him the space. I was like, here, I'm going to write you this song and show them your strengths. Because at the time, Derek was not good at screaming. He's good at singing. He has that like boy band voice. Because that's what he kind of grew up with, is like boy bands and stuff. So he's good at singing and he's good at rapping. And I was like, here,
have it.
Have at it.
It's yours.
Yeah.
Can't Fight It. Going from a Derek rap to a Randy rap, like one next to the other, proves just how good Derek is at rapping. I think this song would be better if Derek did the raps and you did the singing in the chorus, maybe with some distortion to it.
Mm-hmm.
The vocals are again very on top of the instrumental. Mixing rock is pretty hard. It's very clear comparing this track to Taking Back What's Mine Now, how it got better. And the ending with blending both singing and screaming was perfect ending. And I gave it a D because it's slightly underneath the previous one.
Everything was good, but could have been better. D.
It's good. Then, for example, it's slightly better than these, but it's slightly below these.
Yeah. I put my rapping next to Derek's rapping to show that contrast.
Yeah.
Again, experimenting. I wrote the lyrical concept of Can't Fight It, and I rapped it to Derek like, here's what I want you to say, this to this rhythm, and he was like, oh, okay. And somehow we off synced a day where we were supposed to be recording, and he didn't show up, and this was coming to crunch time. I was like, all right, I'm gonna just do it. So I kind of did it. I showed him. I was like, oh, that's not bad. And initially I sung the chorus as well, but I was like, let's have you sing it then, and let's just see what that looks like. And so we have 2 versions of him rapping and I sing, me rapping and he sings. And because we already did one where he raps and I sings, which is Remembering, coming up in a few songs, I wanted to let's just whatever, let's just throw it out there.
Yeah, experimenting is good.
Emilio came in with the guitars as a last minute thing here. Initially there was no guitars, but he was like, this chorus can have, at least some type of rhythm going on. So it was simple enough that it didn't require him to do much work. So that's why when you hear the solo at the end of this, that was all last minute adding on. And that's why it sounds so stacked at the same time too. So
I mean, I like listening to the live version that you have.
Years of practice will do that to you.
Now I mean, I like how your voice sounds on the singing the chorus, and since I like how Derek raps, that's why I made this comment.
Yeah, sure. No, it's a fair comment.
Faded,
if you notice, I haven't really gone back to it yet, so that's for a reason.
Yeah. Faded Sirens and Sirens, I blended both because it makes sense. The interlude here is at the good slot in the album. The lead synth on Sirens is very similar to what you still do. The whole song itself feels very interlude in a way on this album. Like he wouldn't be out of place in a Dawn album. Reminds me of 1,000 Suns a lot, especially with the interview going on top. The mix is better. The interview is a little bit on top, but it kind of works on this song. By the end, I can expect that Burning in the Skies to start playing.
That's awesome.
And I gave it again a D because it's kind of very interlude-y.
Yeah.
So it's good in an album, but it's not. I don't think it holds by itself.
Sure.
That's why when you play it live, you have Faded Sirens to open, and then you do Can't Fight It.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you wouldn't do like all of this together, live.
So about Faded Sirens, I wrote Sirens first. Oh, right now it's about to play Faded Sirens.
Yeah.
I wrote Sirens first, and that was mine and Derek's take of writing. He actually just told me this recently because I had completely forgot about it. That was our way of writing this interlude called Wisdom, Justice, and Love. That was our version.
That's it.
Derek said that to me, and I was like, oh my God, that does feel like that. He goes, yeah, that's what you wanted to do. And I was like, I have no memory of that. So this was us just experimenting again, moving away from rock, even though I added guitars. I just wanted to see what it would sound like if I made synthy things. And this would fit on a Dawn album today because this was laying the groundwork for me to learn how to do that stuff. So that hiccupy, that like you hear happening right now is the earliest versions of synthwave electronic.
It's primordial energy from the trilogy.
Yeah, none of the albums
for example,
today.
This part you can kind of put it into a recent album, and it fits.
If I dropped the talking, then it would fit. I think the
this part is kind of like Gone, for example.
Yeah, early groundworks to Gone, which was another Ta demo before I made it into a Dawn album. This album really, even though it's not a good album for me,
isn't this kind of sounds like the last song of the second album in a way?
That's around the same time. I mean, that would make sense.
Like the melody itself is similar.
This song, this album is what set it was the blueprint. It's not my favorite album, definitely, but without this album, there would not have been all that other stuff to come afterwards. So I needed to have this album, and that's how I've learned to love the album later on in life. Because I would avoid it at all costs. I was like, I don't like this album, but I had to remember that you can't get there without getting from here first.
Remember
Faded Sirens was a joke. It's an inside joke towards Derek specifically. Faded Sirens is just sirens played in reverse.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why it has that
service announcement public.
Well, that's not the joke. The joke was Derek said we should make a song that he was being kind of like he's being facetious. He was being a jerk, and he was like, "Oh, what's next? Like, Randy, you keep wanting to experiment things. How about we just do a whole song in reverse?" I went away for a day, came back. Hey, Derek, and I showed him how he was gonna work with sirens, and he goes, "Oh, God damn it!" And he goes, "It actually kind of works." He's like, "Keep it in there." So
keep it.
It's my inside joke to Derek to tell him for Derek to look at this album, it's for me to remind him, like, don't challenge me. Don't say no balls, because then I'm going to find a It's a call to action.
Tell me and I'll do it.
Yeah.
Okay. Easier to lie. The piano is very beautiful. Easier to run or emphasize it?
No.
But the name is similar.
Yeah.
On Here to Believe, there's a lot of noises on when you say the B's. Like, you can hear that. The melodies could have been a better match. The melodies could be better to match the piano, because the melody is not that catchy.
Yeah.
The strings are very robotic. Could have used some automation. There's some out-of-tempo chanting. And the P's and B's on the last chorus, there's a lot of noise when you go...
Mm-hmm.
I like that out-of-nowhere panning on the woes. I don't think the song needed that outro. It's already pretty long for what it needed to be. And I gave it a C.
Holy crap. All right. Easier to Lie is the very... Fun fact. Two fun facts. Easier to Lie is the very first song I have ever written. I wrote that in 2010.
Jesus.
I was going through a very hard time in my life. I was struggling. I was like, it was my most alone, and I had time to think. And it's Easier to Lie. Without Easier to Lie, I would not be a musician. So I chose to keep it just the piano, to keep it how I actually wrote it on like an old piano keyboard that I had. Easier to Lie is the very first song I had ever written, without me trying to let me play Halo, like the song Halo, or let me play Terminator, soundtracks this, or let me learn how to play like a Linkin Park song. My very first original song, Easier to Lie, was the first song I've ever written in my.
And that got a C.
And I got a C. Now the B's and the P's and the and all that. Fun fact about that on the production, I recorded the demo on one of these mics. I had an old mic like this, not one of the studio mic ones that I have.
Here's a song.
Oh yeah, this is it. The acoustics, the instrumental version is the very first song I've ever written. Yeah. Yeah. And so that was my very first anything ever. And when I wrote the words to it and I sung it on one of these types of mics, which is a dynamic mic. And for people who don't know the difference between a dynamic mic and a condenser mic, a condenser mic picks up the whole room and it's very clear. It doesn't sound so concentrated. Where if I have this mic, the moment I pull away like this, you can hear it because it only picks up what's in front of you. And so I recorded the version on this mic first on this one, and I stuck with the demo because when Derek was with me when I wrote it, that was more authentic with all its flaws. I was being more authentic, and Derek knew the meaning of what I was struggling with when I wrote the song. So by his recommendation, he said, just keep the demo, because we promoted, when we were promoting the album back in 2017, when we got to this song, I would say that this is a song that's 7 years old, and it's not meant to sound as perfected as the other one. So string, piano, vocal, and that was it. And then me and Derek just kind of came in on the back end and did those O's in the bridge. But I can't actually. I got through singing the song, playing it on one of those mics, because I couldn't get through the song. I would start crying. So we got a good take, when we did it, and it was one of those things where it's like we're not copy pasting the vocal or the chorus. We just sung it through, and we kept the best version of that demo take, and then that was that. So to this day, like I don't listen to it because it feels a certain way, and I can't perform it because I will.
You don't wanna talk more about it. You don't need to.
Yeah. So anyway,
I guess I'll chime in with saying that art imitates life, where nothing is necessarily perfect if it's beautiful.
Yeah.
And
I was
definitely
surprised.
agree. This is a beautiful song.
Well, thank you. I'm surprised you gave it a C, because to me, it's like for it being a 12-year-old song now, like this is the earliest thing I've ever done.
It's more like if the song itself is good, like production itself, like it helps, but like the song is the song.
Yeah.
And it's better to have a good song with bad production than a bad song with good production.
I learned. Yeah.
Yeah, but these mics for recording are kinda hard because you're here, but if you're like a little bit closer, it's already.
It picks up those what's that word? But the P's and the B's and the T's.
It's basically the wind that's like going into.
Yeah, it picks it up, and so the reason why you're hearing it, and it's funny that you noted that, because I was like, I heard it, and other people wouldn't hear it, but somebody who knows music would be like, oh, it sounds like it's. If I would have said this was a performance version, it would have worked just fine.
Yeah, but
because like
are always different.
Taking Back What's Mine acoustic was done on this mic, and that was like, oh, well, you expect that to be, but also at that time I had learned to sing far away where you're not going to get those inflections coming into the mic. But yeah, this one I was just trying to get through the song, you know.
Yeah. Okay.
It's one of those songs where you stop, and or for me, like I was shaking, and we took a break. When we were writing this record as a whole, this was my therapy sessions with Derek. Like the reason why the album's called From Tragedy is because it's kind of autobiographical in that sense for me and Derek. And this is my most defeated song, because it's like I don't want to do this anymore. I can't do this anymore, type of a thing. And it's autobiographical, but From Tragedy was intentional when we wrote the album name, because we're coming out from the tragedy. Like we overcame, and it correlated with the band Time After Ashes was meant to be the rebirth of something devastating or something bad, like the end of a chapter, the birth of something new. So Time After Ashes was, moving on from every when you go through your life, everyone's going to have good times and bad times, and we want to highlight how you can overcome the bad times. So yeah, it's all symbolic in that sense.
Very well. Maybe that's the emotion that's kind of pushing it to be like a C and not a D like the other ones, because that, even though it's not recorded like perfectly, it still comes out.
I'm the most honest on that song. That's probably like by far and large, next to Halo, that's my most honest song.
Remembering, that's playing. You made it caught up on the songs.
Oops.
More Derek rap is always good. The vocals are still a bit on top of the instrumental. The guitars sound nice. I wish the drums had more of a variation instead of being a loop for a long time to kind of break the monotony. This happens on both verses and chorus, which takes a little away from the song, because it's just like this constant beat. It could have like some. Although best song on the album easily for me, and that is a B.
Hey, and it's the most popular song on the album.
Yeah, you said on the live album.
I did. Yeah, it is. It to this day still. I don't get many plays on Time After Ashes anymore, but when I do,
you'll have this week.
I bet. Remembering will always remember. You're Holding On or Twilight are always the ones that are up there, the most consistently. And remembering, this is Derek's most honest song. He went through something. He went through a very serious heartbreak, and this is his song. Emilio's great with the acoustic guitar. I played the keyboard, and Derek sings, and like that is what Time After Ashes is. The loop of the drums that's happening, the percussion. I agree, it's very loopy, and it's a bit repetitive. It's very redundant. But does like if we were to play it live, you have to hit it and then we have to play to the beat. So it was a very stripped version in the sense that the drums and the strings are playback, but the piano is played by me, guitar is played by Emilio, and singing is done by me and Derek. And that's what Time After Ashes encompasses.
Very well. Yeah, like when I say loop, it doesn't need to be like a changing all the time, but like every 4 bars, you have like a fill or whatever.
No, yeah, no, totally, yeah, no,
because I know, like I noticed that like when I was getting more and more recent, that you have those things now and you didn't then. And I'm like, okay, guess I won't be writing this shit again.
Nope.
Take it all away. I'll wait for it because it'll be. Mix here is pretty bad when this thing is kicking in. Like there was no smash, left me sad. that's for the animals for you. The chorus has no drums in the mix. It's too back on it. It's the loudest and the best the guitars have sounded until now, though. When that bridge kicks in, you can hear some mixing problems. The melodies for the chorus are very good, which is sad that the production is behind. The extended outro is very Linkin Parky. And I gave it an E, mostly because of the mix. If the mix was more on par with the rest of them, I would have given it a D.
Hey. This is my most mainstream song I think I wrote on the record. Like the piano and everything. Like it's the most formulaic song.
Yeah.
Which is why I think I pulled 2000s rock, and with the synths and stuff like that, you can't help but then be like, oh, this feels kind of like a Linkin Park song, because it was like, yeah, that's what we have. But it's the most formulaic one. Derek really likes this song. When we were trying to write it, like he's like, this one feels like the most, like I would want to jump around on stage if this was a live song. And
yeah, and I actually wrote.
He really favors
like,
this one.
The melodies on the chorus are pretty good. Like it's just a matter of like production-wise, I feel like it's mostly behind on some of the others. I don't know why, but maybe it's because the way the guitars were recorded or something.
Yeah. This is an example. The last thing I'll say about this one is this is an example of where if Derek can do back then what he can do now, he would have been singing the chorus.
Yeah.
He wanted to sing it. Like I wrote the lyrics and stuff like that, but he wanted to perform it, but he couldn't do that grit. He couldn't do that thing. So
and like you can hear it here, like when I say the mix, you can barely hear the kick. Like you hear a little of the snare, but like especially because it's a heavier song, like it needed like drums. You don't nail the drums. Yeah, but it would be higher if it was actually that, because I like the song.
Yeah. All right.
Remains. The vocals kind of feel like they're coming out of nowhere for some reason, right at the beginning. Like they just show up. The vibe here is pretty chill. Just put that voice. Wait. Okay, just that the voice feels like it's on the song and not a part of the song. That's like general. When the guitar kicks in, it actually feels pretty balanced. The guitars should be wider, but they're nice. Ending the album without Derek singing, though. How dare you?
Yeah.
And I gave it a C.
Hey, Derek wrote this song. He lyrically wrote. He should have sung it. He was supposed to sing it, but we were having a production issue at the time where execution was failing, and with our limited knowledge on how to work as an engineer and as a producer and then mixing, it's a product of its time. Mm-hmm. Instrumentally, it's great. Like I like the instrumental.
Yeah.
I gave Derek the instrumental, and this song is the closer intentionally because this is my favorite song on the album, next to Remembering. The meaning behind Remains lyrically is of letting go. And when we wrote this song, before we wrote this song, like we had one of those therapy sessions I was telling you about, And this was, for people who don't know, before, being married to my best friend of so many years now, I was previously married, and it didn't go well. And I didn't know how to move on at that time. So I was talking about that with Derek, and this song was a result of that session. And after recording it, he said use my take instead of his take, even though we both had issues with our takes, which I think got fixed in the live version. Like, I found a better way to execute it at that point. He told me to use my version because it's my song. He wrote that song for me to help me heal. And sure enough, after we did that song and I cried it out, I was like, oh my God, I felt we came up with the title From Tragedy for the album after finishing this song, because we're like, oh, I moved on. I was healed. And so that's why the ending lyric is, so with all that remains stuck within this picture's frame, looking back at a memory, I'm letting go. So when letting that go was letting that go. The outro, where the lyric is completely different, was a demo lyric that Derek had written. And let's put that back in here. I'm staring into a void of a broken heart that was once for you. I am giving up what remains. There's nothing left for me to do. So it's hey, I did my part. I'm done. And we just put that in there and we moved on. We were able to close the chapter. The album was done. We came up with a title. That was the end of the album. And on to tomorrow. We stopped living in the past at that point. Both of us. It helped him with his own thing. He found his resolve with remembering. I found my resolve with remains. And then we were able to move on.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now we go out of Time After Ashes for 2 songs.
I purposely gave a lot of detail with this album because I've never openly talked about it like this. Everything else, I will probably talk about the other Time After Ashes stuff, but I'm gonna let you take the reins on the albums.
I don't have that much to say. I can critique the songs itself. Eventually they get I can't critique as much of the recent stuff.
Yeah, but I'm not gonna review Waiting for the Dawn, New Dawn.
Yeah, sure. Now we'll go
I'm
this.
Gonna let you take all that, but I will give feedback on stuff that I know nobody knows about for the live album, for the other Time After Ashes, for Front
the
Page
old
Tech.
stuff.
Yeah, I'll give feedback. For
I do
stuff
like
I
the
don't talk
detail
about.
that you went through. It's stuff that, of course, we didn't know. But
yeah,
it's great food for, or maybe not food for thought, but details that you didn't know that
music for hearing.
this album greatly. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I try to give you, since you guys, even because this has been recorded, anybody who goes out the way to want to understand the behind the scenes, I don't want to cheat you out of that experience. If you're going to take the time to do that, then I'm going to take the time to give you answers. So I'm not going to BS you on it, really. So yeah.
Okay, Front Page Tech Season 6. Let's go fast over this. Somehow the melody synths give me an annoying mood. I don't know if it's the name of the song that gave me a bias, but oh well. The bass in the majority of the song is too volume high, and it's mudding a little of the mids. The lead synths are well produced, can kind of give you an idea of what you'll be making a few years later. And I gave it a D.
Makes sense to me.
Give it an F. That's my favorite. That was my favorite season to write, because, well, the thing is,
you only made 2, right?
No, I made 3, but I didn't really. I guess I could technically, now that I've now that the contract's been complete, I could release the 8th season, but
okay.
I don't feel like it. Season 6. John was very involved in the production of it, so this is a product of what he wanted to hear, and it's
makes sense to me.
You got to give me room to breathe on this one, but what I was trying to execute was my favorite, but I had the least creative control over it. Which, to his credit, this was the first season I came in on, and he was very protective of his IP. So I totally get where he was coming from, but yeah, this one I had the least creative control over, but I liked how I was able to, on the actual extended version of the song, I liked how I was able to kind of be a little bit more move around all right, if you're gonna be picky about it, I get to choose when these parts show up. Then so, but
Yeah.
I would give it an F.
And also season 7 should get an F.
They
But that's
should all
for
get
all.
Fs.
But
Yeah,
I'm rating the songs and not the.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Okay, all right. If we're gonna keep it for what it is, then, yeah, this one I had the least creative control over.
It's Randy ranking every Randy song, not ranking the background. That's other stuff.
He may give the background, but it's not ranking the background.
I
Give
like
the background. We don't give rankings to the background because otherwise, like these things would go to S, some things would go lower. This shit will go to F or below F.
Sure. Okay, that's fair. I like the elements I was able to write for season 6, but like I said, that was the least creative control I had over because that was the first season I worked on. So John was just very protective of it. So all right.
What's your Pokemon?
Hey, what?
I was reading the chat. Season 7, the kick in the beginning is too powerful for the song. Maybe there's a bit too much. Maybe it's too much for a theme song that would be on a YouTube video. I like the panning on the melodies at around the 30-second mark. The full band kicking in moment actually feels like a release. I think the song itself is not as catchy or recognizable as the previous one, but it's better produced.
Agree.
And I give it a D too, but kind of C.
I give it it was a better produced one. This one he gave me complete creative control. His only feedback was write it, it's repetitive in the sense because the theme song needed to be the background music that season. He wanted it all to be all encompassing. So with that information, all I did was I wrote the bass line and then I just song progresses, I keep adding more and more to it. So that way when I gave him the background version of it, I could strip all those other elements and he has the backtrack, and then in typical FPT fashion at the time, when the episode was over, the outro would come in as the finale of the episode. And so I purposely, at this point, now having worked with him the year prior, I kind of knew the formula of how the show goes. So I kind of set the song up for success in the sense that I can roll into like the drop happens, and then it kind of kicks off the same way. And that's why you hear, and I was being more expressive with the kicks at that point. But it's the most repetitive as opposed to season 6. I was able to just kind of move around. Yeah, but that one he gave me more creative control.
Yeah,
And,
but I do feel like the season 6 you can kind of recognize it more due to that lead synth. This one is more defaulty in a way.
He wanted to go safe with it, but
Okay.
he did not hold my hand every step of the way with that one. He just let me deliver it to him and Brian, and they were like, right,
he holds
this
you
is
with
it.
one hand and then he slaps you with the other.
That's right.
Let's move on.
Let's move on.
Holding on. Back to Time After Ashes. This sounds so much better than the album. The mix is good. Everything's pretty clear. There's a massive improvement. The kick could be processed a little different. The verses could have some EDM hi-hats to give it a different rhythm. The bridge extending into the kick does things to me. So I should have the songs on the background.
You should. I don't know why you're not playing it, especially that one.
Yeah, but the Time After Ashes, they were not there.
Yeah.
There's no instrument.
Whatever. It's quiet enough.
Yeah, let me here. Okay. So what I was meaning. Let's just keep it while you speak to.
Okay. I'll shut up when you get to the breakdown bridge.
Is it confusing if Derek is on the back while I'm speaking?
No.
Okay. I like the effect on your voice. Fits this song pretty good on the chorus. Solos are something that I enjoy, so this is already above everything on the album, guitar related. I feel like the song needed something more though, something that goes all out. I don't think it had that. Maybe if the solo at the end was more upfront on the mix. And I gave it a B.
Hey.
Almost A.
Almost
But
A.
if it had that extra, it would be an A.
We wrote this song holding on. At the time, the working title was Let Go, because it was in the same time frame I was doing Remains and Remembering. We wrote it around the same time, but we weren't happy with it, so it didn't make the final cut. Because Derek wanted to keep working on the album, and I was like, dude, we'll be working on it for the rest of our lives then, until we keep perfecting our skill. We need to put it out, and let's just go. We'll revisit one day. To this day, now we're ready to kind of revisit From Tragedy and actually give it a proper recording and give it proper everything to make it the album it should have been. But yeah, Derek wanted to hold out on it, so we waited. Funny enough, not to go too much into detail, but then throughout this time, Derek and I had a little bit of a falling out, and so I wrote this song dedicated to him. I took his own lyrics and I actually made it apply to our friendship, and it was my way of, I guess, kind of on my end of things saying I'm sorry. And in the video of the thing, that's why it's nothing but like recaps in the bridge. It's recaps of me, Derek, and Emilio playing throughout the years. And I guess he accepted my apology because, you know, here we are years later.
I guess
here's the bridge you were talking about, that the kick coming in, that drop when the kick starts to go back. I wanted to give that room to breathe, to let you like just take in this buildup that happens here.
And then you have like the solo kicking around here. But yeah, I guess if the solo was more in your face, that would give it a little more, because it's kind of hidden in a way.
It's definitely got good flow. That's
Yeah. Like compared to the previous album, yeah. I mean,
yeah,
this actually feels polished compared to the rest.
I got outside help from someone who is more involved in the music industry in LA. I reached out to him.
Mike Shinoda.
No, he worked with Mike though. He worked with Linkin Park and Seether and Tool. He had worked with them in studio sessions, and he actually reached out to me. He said, "Hey, I heard you were about to release a song, and it does not sound complete. Let me help you." And so a lot of that clarity is his doing of cleaning it up. He mixed it for me. So,
yeah. No. The hard way. The drums here sound like something off Linkin Park's demos. This is the best Randy rap so far. The background vocals in the background are very Bring Me the Horizon copycat. Sarcasm. The chorus needed the vocals to be more upfront now compared to the previous ones. It became a little bit lost on the song. Changing the rap to Derek midway was a nice change of pace. If the album had this quality of production, it would be so much better. It's such a big difference in 2 or 3 years. And I gave it a C.
Production-wise, it's interesting because now I had time to work on that one. That's an indicator of what the rest of the album could have sounded like had I decided to wait a couple of years. So that's a good indicator of like my evolution of an audio engineer and what I was able to execute, how I was able to record and execute, and then my experience of learning how to mix drums into everything else. So
yeah, because I feel like the song itself, the songwriting, like I don't think the song itself is as good as most on the album, but it just sounds way better.
Yeah,
because it actually can hear things.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, I just like that's the indicator. I can see from your rating now that like things are starting to climb, and this is an apparent representation of my ability to just be a better writer at that point in the technical sense. So.
Yeah.
So not writer, I guess engineer at that point. Yeah,
engineer, because writing it, like these are good, well written. It's just
execution fell short. Yeah, this is an example of perfecting that muscle, that skill set at that point, the technical side of it. So.
Yeah, in 2 years you can learn a lot.
Yeah.
Live in San Diego. Okay, we go back. Live in San Diego. Now there's gonna be 2 Randys talking, and it's gonna be confusing.
Yeah. You can always just play the. Oh no, you can't
No,
even play the instrumentals.
I mean, it's a live thing.
Yeah.
Faded sirens and can't fight it. The singing here has improved a lot since the album version. The balance of the audio itself got better. There's some noise, but I think it was my speakers. So, just pointing it out. It's a good opener for a show, gets us hyped. This sounds like how the album should be, just live.
I agree.
And I gave it a C, which is already a step above what it was.
That's true. You gave it what, a D before? Yeah, there it is, D.
Yeah, and now it's better.
Yeah, I used the main stage to record my shows, and as you'll hear, and sometimes like you can hear the audience. I try to get the audience out, but then I was like, you know what?
I think
it's
it actually
live.
sounds good with having the audios.
Yeah, I didn't want it to overlap the music, but then I'm kind of glad it did. This was production hell. Performing live was production hell.
The Tesla, the Randy Vazquez production hell.
This is my Model 3. Yeah, I'm glad it got out. It's one of my favorites. I out of anything Time After Ashes that had to do with that era, this is what it sounds like when I had time to perfect it, perfect my singing, perfect my rapping, perfect my guitars, perfect my execution. Perfect my. Look, I'm doing crowd work. I heard it. I'm doing crowd work. Let's go! Yeah, I'm just having fun, right?
When I first heard this album, I was like, live 2020. I don't hear a crowd. Is this like a COVID thing at his bedroom? And then I heard the crowd for the first time. Okay, it's not.
Yeah, this was in 2019. I was doing shows.
Yeah.
Actually, from 2018 to 2019, I was doing shows. Most of it, I started acoustic sets, and then I was like, how can I implement my like full album stuff without a full band? And I learned main stage and how it can help me do loops and stuff like that. And it gave me better control in the mix also, but it was still production hell.
Yeah,
like
it's hard.
Yeah, I if I could do it again, I wouldn't. So
pay someone to do the production.
I don't ever want to do it again. That's why there hasn't been another live album. Well, one I haven't formed since, but even if I was to do like a live from my office show, quarantine style, social distancing style, it was production hell. I just wouldn't want to do it. I was so stressed. Like I was so worried that I was gonna mess up the lyrics or I was gonna mess up something. Even the guitars when I'm introducing this song, this thing that happened there, I slipped. That was me. Like I was nervous. My hands are sweaty and I slipped, and it just happened to sound good. I was like, oh, all right. And so they thought that was part of the thing. I was like, cool, but I was so stressed.
People in a crowd eat everything. You play something wrong, and they're just like,
yeah. No, I could not enjoy the songs when I was performing. I was just that stressed. It wasn't until I went back in. I wasn't even going to release the album at first, the EP, but I took the time to just kind of clean it up in the mix afterwards. I was like, okay, I think I'll put this out as another timestamp, a record of time in my life. Here's how Randy is in 2019. And there you go.
Okay. Angel. Set-wise, I think this wasn't the best choice to follow up the opener, but that's besides the point. I like the change in chords into the chorus. Gives a nice tension that releases at the end. The rhythm guitar part at around 150 is too big unnecessary. I think it would be better to be either 1 or 2 bars and move straight into the lead melody. And I gave it a C.
Cool. Emilio wrote Angel, and Derek and I wrote the lyrics to it, but it was mostly Derek coming up with. But that's the thing. Even stuff that Derek's not president, he's very involved in most of the time, because I will always filter things through him. He's my trusted lens when it comes to vocals. He's my source of like, how does this go? Thank you. An example of later on is Wings. Wings that's another one where I slipped up that and people were like, woo! And I'm like, all right, well, ha ha ha, yeah, I meant to do that. Hi guys. So, but yeah, Angel is I think that was Emilio for being a metalhead. He wrote something like that, and we were like, dude, that's beautiful. Let's build on that. So, Angel never became a released song to date.
It's just not Gent.
It's not Gent. Yeah. It was something so different. I was like, let's make it happen. Yeah.
Randy talking with Randy. Yeah. Descent. This was a good way to play it live. But it's good for the original to be the style that it actually is. The singing here shows even more evolution compared to the recordings on soft songs on the album. This would be good if it had some acoustic strings though. And I gave it a C, which is also which is also one level above the album version.
Yeah. Cool. So far we're climbing the ranks here.
We're slightly climbing a step above everything.
Playing Descent acoustically, as you guys see, I like to do acoustic versions of things, like Taking Back What's Mine. I find myself, if I can write a song with many layers, I challenge myself to then write the song acoustically. And writing Descend with just the piano was really hard, but I found a way to make it work, and I liked it. It gave it a different meaning. It gave it a different feel because I'm singing softer. It's not industrial. It was remorseful almost. Where the other one was more angry. The industrial one from the album felt more angry. This one felt more remorseful. So, yeah.
Yeah. Remembering, and I have a joke here, so I'll put it.
This next song is the most popular song that was on the first album, so I kept that in there.
Everyone has to know, Randy, that this was the most popular song in the album.
Yeah. The song is dedicated to that bastard who stopped caring about it. That bastard doesn't care if one more light goes out.
That jerk.
That jerk. I think the beat dropping for the last few words before the chorus would have made some impact. It's something you've done in a recent song. Everything I said on the studio version for the beat applies here too. The Derek rap voice fits better because it's his song, I guess, but yours is still pretty good. Might be, yeah, it's basically that Derek voice and the drums that it's still. I gave it a B because compared to the other ones, I don't think it's enough to give it a step above while the other ones were. Because remembering on the album itself already still sounds good, while the other ones kind of feel like the production is kind of itchy. While this one was good, so it doesn't go to A yet.
Doing it live was interesting because I know what the song meant for Derek, what the meaning is behind it. And remembering for me was a different meaning. And so I executed it like just in my own performance of it. I executed it the way I had then approached it. So even though it sounds the same, it does also offer a little bit of differences between my version and Derek's version because it meant something different to me at that time of performing. At this time, Derek and I weren't talking and it was his song. So this was my way of saying, screw you. Like,
he's the bastard.
Yeah. He's the bastard I was referring to. Because he didn't. Yeah. No, I was being petty. This was my way of saying that, like, the way even the song is stripped, where I'm just playing just the piano instead of electric piano. Like, I wanted to provide a different sound to it to be more somber, and I'm more or less singing to him about him at that point. More or less, and I just wanted to. I kept it on there. I was not going to originally play it live, but I put it on there to say, like, one, like,
it's a popular song.
It's the popular song. 2, look what you walked away from. 3, look how beautiful of a song you wrote. And here's what it sounds like when I do it, and it's still not the same.
Yeah.
2, that's why it's like I didn't do the exact same thing. So in a way, it was my way of like putting the friendship and the personal things to the side, on the artistic side, it's like you made this and you're making someone else perform this song because you're being the way you are right now. So that's why I'm not even singing here. Like it has that drop happening right there. Like that moment in time. It's definitely it's dedicated to him. I'm not singing to the crowd at this point. I'm singing to him. And yeah. This was my way of just saying that. Like look what you walked away from, and look at what you're capable of doing, and you didn't want anything to do with it anymore.
The bastard that's not here to listen to these songs.
The bastard who's supposed to be on stage with me. Like, like all that. There was all this weird anger and stuff like that. But, I mean, it is what it is.
This next song is called Holding On. It's my latest single.
Holding On.
Oh, holding On. What do you... I'm done.
I like the build right at the beginning here with the chorus. The choirs. The overall ambience is good, fits the meaning of the song. This might still be the best chorus you've written. The lead guitars following the chords are pretty good. This would be pretty cool if it had a proper guitar solo on the bridge.
Yeah.
There were lead guitars already hitting at the solo coming in. Even has one at the end, so yeah. The outro is good. This feels like an improved version over the studio, since it's more acoustic, and the studio feels kinda that's between an acoustic and an electronic version, so it doesn't quite decide which, and here, yeah, it's acoustic. So it gained from that, and I gave it an A.
Damn!
Or
Cool.
amazing.
We got a first A.
And
Go ahead.
nah, I was looking at it, it's on a B.
Yeah, so it went up to itself live, and that was after a year. So that was 1 year of practicing that song, and I perfected it. I sung it differently too. Like in the end, I added more lyrics to it, and I even changed the meaning, because it goes from "I'm holding on to the life I've never known. It's there, but I have to let it go." And I think that was the best lyrics I've ever written at that time. I'm holding on to something that I don't actually know, and it's out of reach, and I have to let that life go, because that's not for me. And then in the outro version of the song, I say I'm holding on to the life that I've always known. You're there, but I have to let you go. And then I introduced the twist of the song lyrically, that like you're the life I've never known, or that I've always known, but I show that there's been a fracture in a relationship of some capacity. You're this life that I've always known, but I have to let you go. And it's a personal song to me
and holding on, following, remembering. You were going deep at it.
Yeah, no, dude, when I tell you I was going through some shit, holding on, I was going through some stuff with that one. It's a very personal song to me. But
it sounds very early 2000s to my ears, a bit.
Nice.
Got some of that early rock theme to it.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. If it had like a solo here, it's just kind of it's soft, but if it had like the full-on solo, that would just make it probably an S, and that would be cool. And like it kind of starts here, but it's hidden.
Yeah. The mix there is. I wasn't sure if I was actually going to sing that live, and I just on the spot decided to do it.
Do I do it? Do I not do it?
Yeah. I had that moment, like, should I do it? Because I think when I originally wrote the song, I sung the whole chorus again, but then I was like, I gave it room to breathe, and I was like, screw it, I'm just going to say it. You're there, but I have to let you go. I just repeated it again, so yeah.
All right, guys, this is going to be my last song.
Okay, Randy.
I'm Randy.
It's the last song.
All
Remains.
If you want to keep up with
Remains.
me, follow me anywhere.
Shut up, Randy.
Shut up, Randy. There it is. Stupid Randy.
The voice on this one still feels a bit weird, like the studio. Maybe it's just not a good range for you. The synths become a little too loud in a midway on the song, kind of nukes everything else that's going on. But it's still sounding better than the studio version. So I gave it a C, which is about the same as the album already, but slightly better due to the mix.
It's because I play guitar live on this one.
You play.
That's right, because I was playing. You know, when I was doing the live set, I was switching through instruments like back and forth. I was guitar or
Mike
piano. Or
Shinoda
whatever.
style.
Dude, yeah. No, him doing what he did is what showed me that I can do full songs live. So I had to figure out how to execute it on my own. So I'm either playing piano or I'm playing guitar in every single song. At no point am I just background track and it's just me on the mic. I'm doing something. This song is easy to do both. I'm playing the piano here and I have just the guitar at the ready. So again, production hell, man. I could not enjoy the set at any point of this song because I was just so focused on the technical execution. Like, okay, get the piano ready, get the guitar ready, da. So,
And feeling bad for Mike Shinoda in 2017.
oh yeah, he made it look
Like-
so easy. Only for him to say that it was actually hard for him too.
Obviously.
Yeah.
No.
I like this version more than the album version because I had more time with the song at that point. So like, I knew what the song meant to me, but I just had more time with the song to be able to like build that rapport, I guess, with the track. So maybe that's why I sing it more comfortably than I did on the album. It doesn't sound so forced. Yeah.
Like here it actually starts what I meant. There's no
Okay.
heavy rain. There's no heavy rain on YouTube.
Yeah, there is, but it's on the. You have to go to my playlist. Go to my channel. Playlists, and it'll be there. Move down. One more. No. One more. There you go.
So the kick has too much power here. It's too bassy, I guess. I think the drums themselves weren't the correct choice for the song. I think more electronic would fit better. The kick is mudding the low mids, gets too much spotlight on the song. This kind of feels like the beginning of the Dawn era. The second half of the song gets pretty good with the lead synths. The beginning tries to build, but there's not a lot going underneath the drums because it's too much on the song. And I gave it a knee.
Hey,
It's too loud.
there you go. Heavy Rain was my very first live stream before live streaming was a thing. And it wasn't on YouTube. I did it back at the time when I was on Facebook. I did it with Facebook, and I wrote that with friends in the stream. Heavy Rain taught me that I can actually do that on YouTube a couple years later. So I wrote Heavy Rain back in like 2017, 2018, something like that. And this is encompassing of people do acoustic drum, no, do electric drum, do piano, no, do guitar, no, do synth, no, do strings. And I was like, oh, you guys have way too much noise going on. So I learned to drown out all that. But this is a product of my very first live stream. And this is what it ultimately kind of sounded like.
Yeah.
This is one of the first songs I heard from you, Randy.
Hey,
And
cool.
it definitely echoes the rest of the instrumental trilogy. And
Yeah, it's like here it
listen.
starts to get good. But I think the drums themselves are kind of what's holding it back.
Sure.
Because like if you just replace the drums by something you would make now, I think it would make the song way better.
For sure. Oh yeah. No, I would structure differently. That last part of the song when the synths come in, that all that would have probably stayed the same, but with a different drum. This 100% laid the groundwork for what was about to happen for Waiting for the Dawn forward. That song was completely pre-circ. That's the prequel track. I was gonna lead into what inevitably became Waiting for the Dawn, for sure. Yeah.
Contagion 2020. It's better to actually have the song play on the background. Starts immediately with energy, sets up the vibe. Panning here is pretty good. The beat is great. Needed that extra variation instead of being too loopy. That break into the lead guitars. It's nice. I think the song really would just benefit from more variation in the beat. The rest of the instrumentation keeps changing and moving forward, but the beat remains the same in a loop. Even adding just some tweaks every other bar would take it to another level. And I gave it a C. So better than this one.
Cool. Contagion I wrote in 2020. Contagion, I did not know that I was actually like about to, I did not anticipate COVID. It just so happened to be COVID inspired.
I don't think anyone did.
Yeah. So I actually felt weird that I had Contagion, but then I was like, even more so, I was like, oh, that's like really, that was eerie for me, because it's, this was done right before the worldwide shutdown, and I was trying to think of like a horror movie or a horror or whatever, and I was like, oh, Contagion, like zombies and stuff, and I was like, oh, ew. But I thought it was just gonna be a one-off thing. This had nothing. This was not alluding to what would have been like Waiting for the Dawn stuff, unlike Heavy Rain. What it was a prequel to that. This was just like, hey, here's this thing, whatever. And if anything, this would have been a Time After Ashes demo before I decided to just retire the project as a whole. I was working towards that, and had I kept on working on that, then that would have turned into a Time After Ashes song.
I think actually the album cover kind of looks like with the name, kind of looks like you're going insane at home with a pandemic.
Shot on iPhone, baby, front camera, and I shook the camera.
That's what I actually thought about.
Yeah, I went like that. I screamed. I was like, and
I want to see the rest of the shots.
That's me. Just look at that. That's so indie. I remember finding the filters for that. Images. Yeah. But you could see my mouth a little bit. You could see my beard. Yeah. Like that's just me. That was. I like that cover art. It's so simple, and yet it's revealing to what was my state of mind.
No letters needed.
Nope.
Now we go to it. Waiting for the dawn. Oh, I forgot Halo, because Halo is first.
You can't forget Halo.
Can't forget Halo. Yeah, because Halo here is after this album. Wait, here. It's not here.
It's in probably the discography, no?
Oh yeah. Where is it? Here.
I am gonna move Halo over to. It's gonna leave Time After Ashes. It's gonna leave the catalog. So you have something that's gonna label Time After Ashes as like a collector's piece, I guess. But I am gonna move it. After I'm gonna I'll give my own review really quickly. The mix. For what it was in 2020, it is what it is. I can do it way better today, and I'm going to. And then I'm gonna move it over to my.
Okay, I'm glad you're already saying those things.
Yeah. No, I'm aware of the song for what it is.
Okay. So what I wrote, the panning on the synths is well played, gives that moving. The voice is still behind the instrumental in many of the parts. There's some also funky processing going on the voice too. I love the lead guitars. The lyrics are bae. An acoustic version of this song would actually like an acoustic version of this thing, like the piano or guitar or stuff, would actually I think it actually would make it feel like a completely different song. But
can I tell you something real quickly? I need to interrupt you. I'll give you an exclusive right here. I have an acoustic version I haven't released.
Ooh.
There's a reason why I haven't moved it over to my profile yet, but
we're getting
like
the Randy leaks. Where's Connor?
Yeah, right. I have an acoustic version I wrote the same time I wrote this song, and I loved how I had the acoustic version because it felt like a different song. And I was always going to release it eventually, but I realized that like this is not a Time After Ashes song. This is a Randy song because of the meaning. So I'm gonna debut it when it moves over to my page. Yeah. So there is an acoustic. Oh, and shout out to Brandon. Newbie, who was featured on Neon Lights, he did the guitars here. That's his work. That's better showcasing his guitar skill set as opposed to A Place to Escape. And unfortunately, a few people, unlike you, Simon, a lot of people don't have artist pages, so I can't feature them like in the title, but I can feature them I can give them writer's credit. So I did.
Yeah,
but shout out to him.
That's what I was gonna mention after about the lead guitars.
Yeah, carry on.
Have guitars, always better. Yeah, that's like I feel like an acoustic version with like the mix is not as good as, for example, the live version of the album, I think. And like, for example, here the cymbals that are playing like right here are a bit too much on the volume. Yeah, I gave it a C because of the mix, and I think like an acoustic version would fit it better, the message.
Yeah, for sure.
But if you have that,
I do have it. Someday, I'll release it someday.
Yeah. Waiting for the dawn now. The solos here.
Wait. That higher vocal I'm doing was not initially part of the song, but when Brandon sent me the solo with the guitar, I had one of those moments where like my heart was racing, and so I just grabbed the mic, I hit record, and that's what came out, and I was like, oh. And so I told Brandon, I was like, you actually made the song better by doing that, for me to like actually give something more to it than just me being I'm searching, you know. And initially, like his contributions to the song helped me actually give it a better polish to it, in like harmonies and stuff like that. So yeah.
Okay. Dawn.
Let's do it.
Oh my god, it's been 90 minutes.
I've been waiting for this. For the dawn.
Waiting. I see what you did. Waiting for the dawn.
Okay. Into the Void has that intro vibe. Can kind of feel this being played at a show before the band comes into the stage. It's a little long though. I feel like the part that enters at 1:30 with the kick should be not the kick, like it should be moved like 30 seconds earlier. Since it doesn't have a lot of movement going through, it kind of feels like the changes aren't enough to carry it through almost 5 minutes. Maybe introduce some moving elements through sidechain or pulsing on the last 1 minute or so to lead into the first song to actually change the pace. And I gave it a D because it doesn't have a lot going. It's a good intro, but I think it's too long. It's in itself. Fair.
Yeah, I think after I did my live stream, I don't think I have much more to add to it. I think if I dragged it out, well, I did drag it out, but if dragging that out was meant to be, I pictured this album being less listened to at nighttime because most of them were written at night, and I want somebody to just like if you're to zone out, you don't really care. The context of I think the whole thing is that like it's background and just let it carry you away. Not my pushback for you because it's your own opinion to review. I like the approach of letting things have a slow burn sometime.
Yeah.
As you'll know, as I'm sure you'll cover in the other ones, like I could very much kick off something a lot quicker if I wanted to, but some things I feel like deserve its sweet time.
Yeah. But I mean, sometimes like I've been like by this point I listen to a lot of stuff, so maybe that plays a little. But yeah, I feel like it drags a lot because by now it's still halfway and it's still basically the same sound. So that's what, like, even if it had some moving parts, maybe it would help more. Like now we have a different thing. Yeah.
You're talking about duration. This album is kind of all over the place, which I like. Like the shortest song is around like 1 minute and 57 seconds, and then like the longest is like 6 minutes and 4 seconds. I like the range that it goes for duration for a lot of these songs because you don't really realize it until you look at the numbers. But stuff like NA, like seems like quick flash, which it is. It's the shortest one. But equally, stuff like From a New Perspective could be on that same duration in your head, but then it's totally not.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it also depends on the situation, because, for example, if I'm listening to rank something, I'm in a different mood. Maybe sometime like this song could be better if I'm just working and I have it on the background. Like, depends on how you're ranking.
I feel like this song should be played if you're trying to go to sleep. That's how I kind of approached it. In a technical sense, yeah. I wanted to give that space ambient.
It has
intentionally. Yeah, that's so intentional that like people think you just launch yourself into space, but really like it's a journey, it's a process, and when you're up there, time doesn't exist. And I think I tried to convey that with dragging things out in it.
Speaking about launching into space, the next one is the Ring Planet, which
I love that.
has
Spoilers.
major Halo vibes.
Intentionally.
No.
Yeah. The Ring Planet.
And then let's move on to the Ring Planet. The panning here is pretty dope. This is placed well, following the last as an ambience. The ambience itself is pretty similar. The mid part synth sounds very orchestral. I would maybe hit the percussion 2 or 4 bars before instead of delaying it. This must be like something specific. Introducing the panning beat at the end was a great callback to the beginning of the song. Overall, I feel like the introduction to the album ends here. Like they both kind of introduce itself. And it, like, both together being around 9 minutes, maybe it could be reduced a little, sets the vibe for the rest of the synths throughout the whole album. And I gave this one a C.
Yeah. It was I the most important thing about the execution on this song was that I wanted to bring it full circle. What happens at the beginning, I like when the horns and the strings and all that comes in, that and it comes back, I wanted to bring it full circle. This is me closing that loop, so to say. And I felt like I when I wrote this, because this is one that I perfected more off screen after I did the initial stream of it. When I wrote this one, I kept building it. Like I was going to add a drop and have this explosion similar to like the NA song, or similar to Salt, like something that had a drop and then a kick, like an explosion. I almost did that with this, but I was like, that's not very Halo, since it was completely a nod towards writing Marty O'Donnell's style of music. So instead, I was like, well, how can I give it that oomph? Call back. Let me bring back something from earlier to the end. So that's what I did.
There it is. The day the world stood still. The intro to this song is very nostalgic. Yep. It's again too long. The first 54 seconds are all pretty much the same. The part at 54 seconds should maybe kick in at around 26, because that's the same beat riff with the lead. So technically it still takes us around 90 seconds to drop that main part. I like how the snare sounds with the reverb. Overall pacing now is better. Stuff's moving when it feels like it should, even tweaks in the melody. The mixing now compared to the previous songs, it's more balanced, which I feel it's due to less things going on at the same time. Helps by not having as much mic recorded instruments.
Yeah.
Like here I'm comparing to Time After Ashes.
Yeah, for sure.
At around 3 minutes and 40 seconds, I'd maybe have the higher lead glockenspielstein kind of a sound more up front than the triad keys. I would maybe also end with a snare at 448 without the resolving chord. Makes people wanting more of the song without giving it, and also cuts it shorter without taking something that's been done, which is kind of when you fade with the same style that was done earlier on the song.
Yeah.
And overall, I gave it a B.
Hey. I think the longevity of the track, being a 6-minute song, I wanted to stay true to that recording session when I streamed it, because it was just long. And this is my very first attempt at lo-fi. And talking to people offline after the fact, they like they said when they play lo-fi and they want it in the background, they want repetition. That's why the first 90 seconds probably is the way it is. Personally, I don't get why this song is popular. I don't connect to it that way, but everyone else does, and that's the thing. As an artist, it's not for me to tell you what you need to be drawn to and not drawn to.
You
I-
make the
I'm-
songs. People decide the songs.
Yeah, like for example, I'm more like this ending of The Ring Planet playing right now, way better than whatever I did with The Day the World Stood Still. But the Day the World Stood Still is by leaps and bounds a more popular streamed song, and it's because the mood of people playing lo-fi is that of like, don't send me on a journey, be repetitive, let me work. Like they if I keep giving you all these inflections that are happening, I'm doing the adverse effect for what lo-fi is supposed to be doing, as I'm told, that you're not able to focus on whatever you're doing, whether you're working, cleaning, whatever. This background thing is just meant to be no more than us at a coffee shop and somebody's playing up on the stage softly. And so I took that approach to keeping it very long. But with that being as it is, for a popular song, it's not my favorite. I don't like listening to the song all the way through. I would rather listen to Will I Find You Again or any of the other ones that have the same elements over it. But that's because I'm writing a journey in that track, where this was strictly put it on and forget. Put it on repeat one, press play, and go do what you got to do, and you're good for the next 30 minutes.
Yeah.
I think what hooks me in on this song is the very first few chords.
Yeah.
And then
like
repeats.
This part itself.
Definitely draws me in.
Cool. I understand. That was a cool challenge for me later on. Finishing Neon Sunrise was that I have to practice restraint. Up until now, the last two songs have these stacking layers. Ring Planet is just bop, 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 bop. The Into the Void is this. It keeps building this ambient where it's loud and almost scary. This is the first song where I had to practice restraint. And someone like Grant, I remember telling me in the chat, he's like, that's perfect. That's exactly what it needs to be. And then friends like Jordan would tell me the same thing, that like, don't lose scope of the purpose of what lo-fi is. Don't look at it as an artist. Look at it as a consumer who wants to listen to something. And once that clicked, here you go. That's this song.
I'm gonna go. Wait, you want to do like a 5-minute break? Max also wants to ask a question.
Yeah.
Maybe do a 5-minute break and then we come back.
Hello.
Hi, Max.
Hello.
I just wanted to ask, this is for Randy and Simon, because you said something about recording instruments through the mic on some of the earlier stuff. So when you guys do guitar, do you do DI or do you have like a mic'd up cabinet or something? Is it just like directly in, or do you have like pedals and everything and then you're mic'd up to the speaker?
I've done both. I've done 3 ways. I have my XLR cable that plugs into my amp.
Yeah.
Which I then will plug I'll plug this into the amp, and then the other route will go to the guitar. So I'm recording straight from what the amp sound, program it right.
Yeah.
I've plugged this straight into my preamp, and then I'll use the plugins in Logic, for example. And I've done the other one where I'll mic up the amp and I'll get one of these mics, or I'll get one of my condenser mics, and I will find the right position of it, and I will record from the speaker. So whatever comes out of the speaker is the final take of it.
Which one do you usually like the most?
I think it depends on project. Lately, I've been doing this one where I plug my XLR cable in. For studio stuff, it just I can get a cleaner mix once I can get my amp performing right. I get a cleaner mix, and I get more options with it. When I did like live from San Diego, I just mic'd up the amp or the speaker, and I was like, that's what it is what it is. So it's a mix. If I'm doing acoustic, I'll probably just plug straight into it like this, into my preamp and into the guitar, and then there's that. So
because
I know. Go ahead.
I know DI can be very controversial depending on who you're talking to. It has a very like Some people like it. Some people think it's not authentic. Some people hate it.
So Trent Reznor from Nine Inch Nails popularized plugging the guitar straight into the software.
Yeah.
And people said that's not real rock, you're fake. And he was like, you don't know what Nine Inch Nails is about. Like, you don't understand what I'm doing. And he wrote all these popular songs back in the 90s and 2000s from that process, that he didn't want that whole like that's not rock thing. The genre of rock needs to stop taking itself so seriously, because that's how you let people like. There's a reason why Machine Gun Kelly is as big as he is right now in that space, because he doesn't take himself seriously, and then people get offensive about it, and all that is very controversial in that sense. But putting personalities to the side, my approach to it, you said which one do I prefer? Whatever makes the song sound good. No single thing that I do personally drives this. Like, if this makes the overall song better, then that's what I'm going to do. The guitar, the drum, the vocal, the synth, the strings, the bass, none of that is like this. It has to be like this, and the song has to work around it. It does. I don't work that way.
Well,
everything's for the betterment of the output of the final song for me.
Yeah, because I know Beat It. I think Beat It, they just used like a DI recording for the
They did.
guitar. Because everything after that sounded so much worse, so they were just like, we'll just use that because it sounds good. Yeah. No. Yeah.
And you know who played guitar on that, right?
Eddie Van Halen.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
so
of course. Oh my gosh.
People didn't say anything about Eddie because no one's going to question his technical skill
of
as a
course.
guitarist.
He's Eddie Van Halen. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's funny how everyone shut up when he did it, but people wanted to go after Trent Reznor for doing it, and they're because he was an up and coming nobody, and he was like, "Yeah, you don't know what Nine Inch Nails is about then." So
he's so cool, and they bring people in like that to help.
Yeah, for sure.
Like Eric Clapton did the solo on "While My Guitar Gently Weeps." That was pretty cool. Yeah. It's awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
What about Simon? What do you like to do? Do you like DI or?
I DI into the computer, and then I use effects there.
Well, because there's some nice ones. I have good GarageBand. There's some nice effects built in.
And I think the GarageBand are kind of shitty.
Yeah. I'm not skilled enough to notice the difference. But
like I in 2020, I bought a guitar plugin for effects, and I just replaced the DI from that I had. Took the GarageBand ones out, put the new ones in. It just made a massive difference. Like GarageBand, it's good if it's like bluesy stuff, I would say, yeah. But if you want to play anything that's slightly heavier, no.
I mean, it's nice considering each pedal is like $100.
Yeah, like you buy a $200 plugin and you don't need like an amp, basically.
Yeah, no.
I would say overall, to Max's point, though, my approach to it is that music is more accessible than ever before for people who are artists or who want to try to write music or explore. The fact that you could just plug into GarageBand, people in the early 2000s, that would just blow their mind. The fact that anybody could just do that now. My earliest demos are only because I had GarageBand. Forward on New Dawn was written in GarageBand, and
it's nice.
It's what it is.
It's it's great. I mean, they say limitation breeds creativity.
I agree.
I mean, you look at all these artists in the '60s, and all they had was reel to reel, and it's pretty amazing how much we have now. It's a different skill
set. It's the exercise of creativity at that point. I like limitations. I give myself limitations on purpose. When I wrote the Waiting for the Dawn album, I told myself I'm not using external plugs. I'm only going to use Logic, and I'm only going to use this mic, and that's all I did for stuff that were like shakers, and I didn't have a shaker. Then I came on this mic and went shh, 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 and that was my shaker. You got to get creative with limitations, but then at the same time, giving you the options, anybody can explore. Like, there's no right or wrong way to record, write, do music. Anybody. Look at YouTubers, for God's sake. It's the same thing for YouTube. There's no right or wrong way to be a YouTuber at this point. There's a successful way, but we're not talking about success. We're talking about the craft at that point. So
and there are other things like where you can tell it sounds digital, so it's not always the best option. Like You know the
You start
Mellotron.
somewhere. Everybody
You know-
starts somewhere.
Yeah. You know the Mellotron, right?
Yes.
That's like the kind of thing where I just don't think the plugins sound nearly as good as the real thing. Even though the real thing falls apart in 5 minutes.
Let's continue the rankings, and we go on
Okay.
to this later.
Appreciate the
Okay.
question,
Yeah, we'll go back to it later because we have to finish this thing.
please.
From the moment I saw you, I think this was the first or one of the first time I was on a stream. Funny enough for the name. I think the bass length on this song plays to its advantages. Everything comes and goes before it feels okay. I've had enough of that. The piano at 127 is kind of out of rhythm in some things, and it kind of bugged me ever since. The strings at the end couldn't be... the strings at the end could have dropped out and let the piano finish by itself, since it was the main protagonist of the song.
Cool.
Since it was the main protagonist and around halfway, but it was always behind something else, and then if it dropped that at the end, it just hit with the piano. That would be cool. And I gave it a C.
Cool. I like that approach. What it could have been. That's a cool concept.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of like in hindsight.
Sure.
As this was done back then, you think something, and now you look. Oh, maybe that would sound better.
From the moment I saw you was originally for Longsign dubbed 30 minutes or less, because that was a stream where I challenged myself to write a song in 30 minutes. And that's why the song is so high tempo and I'm moving quickly in the sections, because I only had 30 minutes to write the song and then I stopped. So it was a reflection of that.
Yeah. Hidden treasures. Now hearing the hidden treasures like in a row with the other ones, it kind of had a similar vibe to Contagion. The main melody here sounds very good with the synth spanning, which is a thing you do a lot. I do a drum roll fill at around 90 seconds leading to the change. And even in some other parts of the songs, it's a moving song. Yeah. I don't think the piano was necessary at the end when the filtered synth was finishing the song. I gave it a C.
All right. Hidden Treasures was the first song on the album I wrote in live stream form. I started with that one, and people started coming into the streams, and what turned into one song. I was going to release it as a single the way I did Contagion, and then we just kind of we never stopped. We never stopped streaming. We just, every day was something new, and welcome
2
to
years later,
quarantine.
still at it.
Still at it. So, yeah. Thank you, Hidden Treasures. Hidden Treasures is the most FPT, Talos of Tech sound out of all of them, because that was what people knew me for. So because I streamed it and I had those people in my stream, I was playing to the audience. That's why it sounds the most... It's like a sibling. It's like akin to the other stuff I had done with FPT or Talos of, because I was like, this is what you guys know me for. And I leaned into the audience.
At least a cousin. I'd
Yeah.
agree.
Like a distant cousin.
Something. Yeah.
And the drums after you hit the "You Suck, Nick" at the beginning are pretty nice.
You suck, Nick.
Not this one.
Thank you, Nick.
They still need some less loopy vibe to them, I believe, but it's an improvement. The transitions between the sections flow very well. I think the mellower songs tend to be longer because of the tendency to have the lead vocal on top of an instrumental. This song has a perfect ending, and I gave it a B.
Because of that perfect ending. Yep.
I'd agree.
NA
If it didn't have the ending, I would give it an F.
NA is Nick and Sweeney, and also not applicable. And that was my way of saying, like, you suck, Nick, because that was our ongoing thing for a long time. That was our gimmick. And he made me a wooden play button, so I made him a song. It was a 1-for-1 trade. My wooden play button can break at any moment, but that song lives forever. So I'm the better friend, Nick, if you ever watch this. You suck.
I think The Day the Earth Stood Still and the NA song are probably my favorites in this album. They both stand out, and consequently, they're both opposites with their duration.
Cool. I like that. I like that contrast. That's cool. Nice.
Okay, let's move on then. From a new perspective, the hi-hats are misplaced on the center. I think they should either be one on each side or more leaning towards the left. They feel like they're trying to be wide, but they're not. This song feels a little bit messy on the mix compared to the other ones on this album. Not as much as older stuff, though. Some piano hits are a bit off tempo on the break. That always triggers me. Cymbals are also a bit too upfront. The ending overall reminds me of Time After Ashes. I think the ending, instead of fading out, should be building up like a reverse effects to the next song. The fading out at this point in the album has been done quite a bit. So I gave it a D.
Huh. That would be interesting. When we get to that part at some point in the song now, because it's playing right now, I want to hear that fade out. But yeah, this song stressed me out. I didn't know how to actually write it. This was, and I said that a couple days ago with the stream, but this one and I think Uncharted Territory, those two songs really stressed me out. I did not know how to really. I had all these little pieces and I was trying to make I was baking a cake with stuff. I didn't know what I was doing. These were the stressful songs on the album. So
Knowing that detail, the titles make more sense.
yeah. No, that's intentional too, for sure. Yeah. Uncharted Territory was, I didn't know what I was doing, and from a new perspective, I was trying stuff out. So that was my nod to myself, saying that like, hey,
When I said that it reminds me of Time After Ashes, it's kind of here. It kind of feels like the chorus of Can't Fight It.
Yeah, this would have been a good Time After Ashes song for sure. Maybe some screams or something over it. Yeah, can't fight it. Yeah, I could see that for sure. All right.
Yeah, what I meant, like, yeah.
No, I'm already picturing how.
Like you start feeling like you.
Yep.
And then campaign hits. Because it always ends like that way.
Yeah.
Campaign.
This
reminds me of some Linkin Park song, which I can't find. Maybe I'm just confused. Like, I think it's this part kind of reminds like that industrial demo they have, which kind of looks like a factory noise. The
this
synths
song was. Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead. Yeah, do your thing.
The synths over the guitar sound pretty dope. The drums need some polishing here and there, as there's some conflict in the frequencies.
Mm-hmm.
This one with some tweaks in the mix could almost host vocals on top in some parts. The chorus extension kind of asked for a lead something, maybe like a guitar or another synth or something. And I gave it a B.
This was a fun one to do. I remember this was the most experimental. This is the one where I got the singing bowl in, and that's how I always remember the song. Never mind the guitar or the drums or the synth. Like, I grabbed a singing bowl and I made that work to the song. I was like, hey, nothing will ever sound like this song unless people are using the singing bowls. So that was fun to do. Yeah.
We move on to Salt. It's better than the Linkin Park one that you kind of got the idea from. I like how the synth shows up but doesn't follow the pattern of the bars and just gives some extras to the song. The hi-hats midway are too mid in the frequencies and too much to the right. Is the background noise on the chorus a hair blower?
That means yes.
Yes.
A hair blower. I gotta hear it. I don't know.
I can kind of move it because we're getting behind. Like here. Like there's like a in the background.
Hang on. No, that's the synth's delay. Well,
okay.
That's the stereo delay or the echo that's happening.
Because there's a in the background, and maybe that was because you said something about recording stuff.
That's the synth's delay because I added distortion to that. And there's a distortion and then a delay. It goes delayed then distortion. So the distortion, you're hearing the low frequency of the distortion being echoed out.
Yeah. And I think something cool would be at the end not to be ending with a resolving note and be left on the note before, kind of create that tension at the end. It's those small things. And
That's very Linkin Park of you to say.
a lot of people do that thing.
Yeah.
I gave it a C.
I purposely the mix, the way it sounds,
Mm.
like with you commenting on the hi-hat and stuff like that. I did my best to emulate how they had their song sound like, and then how would I just one up it. But I wanted to keep their foundation the same. So I'm pretty sure this is, in the mixed sense, this is a replica of how they did their drums on that. But the strings and the synths and all that, and the da, I think that was all me. So
Nice.
yeah, the stuff you like was my part. That's what I'm getting at.
The part that made it better was the thing.
The part that made it better was my part.
Uncharted Territory. I feel like this song either suffers from the position on the album. My opinion listening is that it doesn't have anything that it's new on the album.
Okay.
It's well made, but it feels kind of more of the same, while the rest had a bit of something that's kind of different, at least by the point they came on the album, and this one doesn't. So I gave it an E just because of that.
Interesting. I'd say duplication isn't necessarily bad, especially with all the creative things that the album does.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah, that's why I said here, like, it's well made, but by this point it could have been another song. Like, it's not that it's a copy. It's just like sometimes songs suffer from the position they're at in an album.
That's
and
fair.
I feel like that was the point.
It would probably have a different ranking structure if it was somewhere else on the album.
Yeah, maybe if it was like the third or fourth song, maybe I'll actually and just someone like other song would suffer.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, it's different. What stands out to me about the differences of it, why I don't think it's a 1-for-1 on something else, is because this is the only song where I don't have a drop. That when the second half of the song, where it breaks down and it builds, I intentionally didn't want to drop. I just wanted it to just get louder and louder with more elements being introduced in a way that wasn't gonna conflict with anything. Because at this point, like you said, it's a well-produced song. At this point, I started nailing down my EQing and my mixing technique, so I knew it wasn't going to sound like a cluster F the way anything from Tragedy would have been. So having this build out, there's no drop. It just keeps build, and then fire burns out. So I don't think any other song I have had done that up to that on this record. So for me, the standout thing for it and why I included it was, this is it's just going. And what's playing right now, literally right now as I'm saying it, this part was not introduced at any point in the song, so I kept introducing something new in the song without adding a drop. I was like, all right.
Yeah,
but I agree with the placement, though. Maybe it should have been somewhere else, but...
Yeah, maybe because sometimes other songs have, like, the specific thing.
Yeah, like there's a hook. Other songs have a hook that make you go back to it. This doesn't have a hook. Even Will I or Nick or the Ring Planet. Well, Ring Planet is more of a journey, but most of the songs on here, Hidden Treasures, Salt, they all have a hook. This doesn't have a hook. This just starting line, finish line.
It kind of reminds me of one of those top-down RTSs that you'd play. Just kind of that background music that's nice, but it's not necessarily notable, I guess.
For sure.
Yeah. Now, will I find you again in the next life? Saving the best for last. There's a lot of feels here. This is a slower song, but it's not as long as the beginning of the album, which helps it. There's some great panning movement, which helps the feeling of being in a place or a space. I don't have much criticism feedback here. Maybe some tweaking with the drums, especially the snare could fit more into the song. I guess, like, tone it down a little. Ends very well with the noise and the keys. and because I don't have anything negative special to say to it, and I like it a lot, I'll give it an S.
Our first S.
Our first S.
It's a beautiful song. I love this song.
Yeah, I really remember being awake at 4 a.m. while you were writing this.
Yeah.
Where are you?
To me-
What time is it there? 4 a.m. Why the fuck are you awake at 4 a.m.?
I couldn't sleep. I knew this song was gonna be something special because I couldn't sleep. It was literally keeping me up. I was tossing and turning. I mean, what's there to say that I haven't already said? It's a beautiful song. It reminds me of all you guys. Like this is the song I'll always go back to feel nostalgic, and like that synth string happening right there. Like it's all just so. I can't. It doesn't sound like me. Like I listen to it as the fan. Like this. It doesn't feel egotistical to go listen to my own music.
Yeah, it's very
When
different to the
Yeah.
everything else.
Like there's a reason why this song is the most. I can't dethrone it on any of my streaming services. I'm like, damn, I wrote that. That's me. Whoa.
What drug was I on?
How do you write music, Randy? Is a question I got asked a lot. Like, I don't know how I wrote something like that.
Yeah.
It was something that it just.
Yeah, but I remember like all the. I kind of like. Did you like private the streams on?
Nope.
This
Nope.
because I can't find it.
I'll
For
find
this
it for you.
For this one, I can't find it. I tried.
No, I purposely want to keep it up. I'm sure it's up there. I'll find it because that was. I remember that night. I was not very talkative that night. I was just.
You were. It was basically me, Eva, and maybe Grant was there. It was both of us and someone else.
Yeah.
And I even remember.
We had a few drifters coming in and out.
Yeah,
But
I even remember like you saying, "What's the name of the song? Give me a working demo." Or, like, let's just use your guys' name, and it was basically Flames of Wisdom, and that was.
oh my God, you're right. Whoa!
Yeah. So
Will I
S
Find
tier.
You Again was something that I had said.
Mhm.
And I had the song in my mind at the point too. And I was like, that's the name. Just know. Because that was something I said. Will I Find You Again in the Next Life was. I think I was in the mood. I was in the mood of something felt very bigger than me. And after I had said that, after I had written that, I said, okay, that's the song. So, Flames of Wisdom. Jesus, wow.
Wow.
I forgot.
Yeah. Great way to end this thing.
Yeah. Cool.
Definitely one of the most beautiful
Like,
songs
yeah,
on
and-
the whole
and if-
entire album.
And if
Thank you.
And if you put this song somewhere in the middle, like every song that would come after would just like not sound as good.
It had to be the closer, but
yeah.
unlike Neon Sunrise, that was so impactful, it had to be the opener. This one was like, I didn't think I was going to do any more albums. I didn't think I was going to do, and I thought that was it. So it was a perfect conclusion overall. Yeah. So
Yeah. And we end the album. Now we go into Twilight. What have I written for Twilight? The vocal melody throughout all the song is very beautiful. The beat here already has some of that variation and tweaks that I mentioned on the earlier ones. It keeps introducing new stuff like the vocal octave, which is good, even though like the chord progression is pretty the same throughout the whole thing. It doesn't feel like it is. The beat is very orchestral. Reminds me of Iridescent, played live when Brad goes into the percussion. Carries a lot of emotion all the way into the end. Alternate version when Make It Happen.
that's a little inside joke right there. All right.
Inside jokes. Let me play it.
Let's just say I talked to Derek about it. Like this is Twilight is something special to me because if Time After Ashes doesn't come back, I think it's the perfect project closer. So right now it's on an indefinite hiatus. Emilio's busy doing his own thing. You know,
I forgot the grade, by the way.
You forgot to grade it? Well, what do you grade it?
A.
Hey, that's a good A.
Well
Yeah.
deserved.
I like the song. I like what it meant in the sense too of like even lyrically. If this is a project closer, if there's no more time after Ashes, a perfect song to go out on. But that doesn't mean I wouldn't work on alternative version, so to say.
Let's just call it that.
Yeah. But outside of that too, like it's a good representation, ending it there, of the progression that you see from starting with One Again to Twilight, and you can see how drastic the differences are. So I like where it fits on the history of everything.
Yeah. Album number 2, Aftermath. We go there.
I just want to add right before you give your first thoughts. This is the album that I listened to while it was being created and loved every minute of it when I was on a road trip.
Awesome.
So, pretty, probably one of the most titular albums, in my opinion, that you've made.
Cool.
And it's also more uplifting compared to the previous one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, you notice
Aftermath
like
is
here.
intentional too, of being like, hey, we made it through the pandemic.
Kinda.
2020 was very well, yeah, but I mean, like 2020 was actually very scary and uncertain. Now we've learned to live with it and evolve and adjust with it, and the album is a reflection of that too. Like, hey, it's not as doom and gloom. It's not as melancholy. It's not as we're doomed. So
Okay, let's go.
kick it off, man.
This builds pretty good and fast, doesn't delay things too long. I like the industrial sound that happens before the guitars part, which is a good break in itself. There's the classic go with everything at the end, in the conclusion. I feel like this song doesn't have an iconic moment to push it beyond its levels, which is fine, but it's well made. That noise after the silence at the end is always funny to me, and I gave it a C.
That little yeah.
Kind of like the live song.
Yeah, that was that's a callback, and that's me saying that I'm not taking myself too seriously. Yeah, that was 100% a callback. It's tongue in cheek. It's I'm not taking myself seriously, and the song feels like really like ooh, boom, 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 and that dang. It's just like we're having fun. I'm having fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Empires rise as the kingdom falls. The piano riff here reminds me a lot of The Day the World Stood Still, kind of like if it was an alternate version. It's very headbangy when the drums kick in. There's not a lot of stuff going on, which kind of helps the groove. Nice early building on the synths leading to the smash. This last part could almost be an opener to a show before the first proper song kicks in. And I gave it a C.
Cool.
C for cool.
It would have been written as an opener for sure.
Yeah.
I was right. We were working
Like
on an EP, and
Like this part itself.
Yeah, this was gonna be the original EP opener. After we finished from Tragedy, we started on an EP. This was a competitor of another song that I never released for certain reasons, and this was like contender to be album or EP opener. At this point, let's play live, guys. I was working up a set to what would have turned into live from San Diego. Had we continued just working on more stuff, if Derek was still hanging around, if Emilio wasn't deployed, then the EP would have been a live set. So for you to actually say that it's an opener, it's interesting because it's like that was our vision.
Yeah, you can kind of feel like like a band like hyping the crowd, like with the drums themselves, and then like it drops and then kick in with a proper singing, or whatever.
Yeah.
It's another one of those songs that also sound like a top-down RTS to me. I don't know why.
I really want to lean into like scoring for games and stuff like that. People always tell me to, and like, how can I do that?
I mean, there's a lot of songs here that could kind of fit into a game.
I own it. It is what it is. Which is why I make it royalty free for people to use for what. I just own it.
Yeah, I don't think there's like any specific song that doesn't fit in the background of a YouTube video. Maybe the first two on the other album, because there's not like a lot of movement, and sometimes on the back of YouTube it's kind of gone. The melody on the lead, it's catchy AF. It just goes on, and the beat basically changes to give the support. Keeps the best part, but changes the feel of the song on the background, which is nice. The added synths on top are nice solo over the leads kind of a thing. It's a pretty fun song with the riff lead synth going on, and other stuff develops on top of it. And I give it a B.
Hey, cool. The only reason why I made it on this album is because Derek stopped working on lyrics for it. This was going to compete with Never Done and Can't Fight It. It was going to be a rap.
Yeah, it feels like a rappy kind of a thing.
Yeah. That na-na-na thing was. I was setting Derek up for success, and after he heard it again recently, he goes, "Man, I really wished I worked on it." But I told him, like, no song on my instrumental albums dies there. Any song can get promoted to a developed song at any point. So maybe one day it'll turn into something, but we'll see.
We shall see. What lies ahead? This feels more like a disco vibe than anything on the Dawn albums. I like how the songs are all shorter. I think it helps them more to keep them interesting while listening just for listening. The beat here is on the middle of the song are pretty dope. Basically address the points that I always used to comment earlier with the hi-hats. And I gave it a B.
Nice. Yeah. I wrote this as it's very title driven, and me trying to tell a story, a concept album, and I knew this song would fit as moving my concept album forward, which is why it has these elements of like tension, and you don't necessarily get resolution yet. That comes at the end of the album. But telling a concept story through music without words was an interesting story plot to try to do. Was a challenge. Limitations, like I was telling Max earlier, I like giving myself limitations. And how can I make a concept album with no words? I have to play off the titles, and I have to really make the instrumentals work. So here I'm trying to move the story forward at this point. So that's where that energy is coming from.
Okay. The pursuit. The journey. Let's just keep the songs on the background because we're going fast now.
Yeah.
Dope panning on the intro to make the synths not sound super stale and long. The keys always sound so good on these songs, damn it. This middle part with the choirs always reminds me of the Bring Me the Horizon live album before Shadow Moses. Changing the second part of the song is great. The song could be an interlude in pretty much any album and not feel out of place. I gave it a C.
Whoa.
It's good. F.
Can I tell you something? I haven't said this to really anybody. I haven't done it on my stream or nothing. So here's something that you and
Connor, Randy leaks.
Yeah, no. This is just for you guys in the panel and whoever goes back to watch. Before Waiting for the Dawn, I actually started on this album first. The idea of making a concept album, making a story with just audible visuals instead, like how I can maybe make each song have a different cover art. I started on making this record first before I did Waiting for the Dawn. I was gonna do Hidden Treasures and then get back to work on doing New Dawn, what would turn into New Dawn. New Dawn I was almost done with New Dawn around the time I was kind of less than halfway done with Waiting for the Dawn. It was gonna have a whole different album name and everything, but this idea of making a concept album on previous work was something I had been sitting on for a long time. So it just, because we kept going back to doing more live streams, I decided to put that on the back burner and work on the first record instead. But this one, I actually like sat down and I storyboarded out what I wanted the story to be. And I purposely don't tell anybody what the story is, because part of a concept album is it's up for you guys to decide what it means to you. That I don't want to take that creativity away from anybody. I know what it means to me. I know I structure in a way that I'm trying to provoke an emotion, but your takeaway is only for you. Like, that's, no one can take that away from you, your own takeaway from that album. So this whole New Dawn thing was actually, it's the iPad of the iPhone. I actually started on that one first, but situation led me to do Waiting for the Dawn first instead. But there you go. Yeah.
Okay, let's move on. Outpost 4. IV for some people. This one sounds like a video game music above all of them, in my opinion. It's a catchier sound than most stuff on this album, other than Gone. I'd maybe change something around the 50-second mark. The choirs aren't enough to make it feel like a new change in the song to me. The guitars at the end are very needed, and I give it a C.
Yeah, this is probably one of my more favorite ones on the album. I like this one a lot.
You want it? I'll move it to B if you want.
It's not my ranking, man. I respect all your C's, D's, E's, and F's. I respect all of them.
I only gave it an F here because it's finally, so it's an F. Just kidding.
That's fair. Yeah. No.
Okay. Searching. Piano is very the day the world stood still again kind of a thing, which is good, but for someone that's like listening everything in a row, it kind of gives you that. Yeah, I have heard this riff before.
Yep.
The ending kind of manages to change compared to the other ones with the guitars, and there's like a nice panning, and I gave it a D.
I actually purposely searching. I wanted it to be akin to The Day the World Stood Still. I like how you, as a musician, can draw that the chords are the same. It's my that's definitely intentional. This is the modernized version of The Day the World Stood Still, and that's why it's shorter, and that's why there are changes like the ending with the guitars and the percussion. This was me revamping it. Like, all right, what if The Day the World Stood Still was not lo-fi? What would that sound like?
Didn't you mention that while doing the song or some other song? Like, what if that song? I think I felt like some stream you did. Like, what if something wasn't lo-fi? Or maybe I'm confusing.
No, it might have been this song. We might be talking about this one.
Maybe.
What if I took a lo-fi song and made it not lo-fi?
Maybe. I feel like you've done that thing in a stream, like what changing something from this from lo-fi into not lo-fi.
This is actually my favorite song in the album.
Cool.
This is it actually makes sense pointing it back to The Day the Earth Stood Still. Why I like it so much. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's catchy.
It's basically the same song but not lo-fi, which makes it like be a different song. Yeah, it has like that kind of riff. Dun, dun, dun.
Yep. Completely intentional.
Finding closure. The stupid iPad keeps moving upwards. The panning with the beat here reminds me of some Linkin Park songs where they just mess everything with the percussion and go completely crazy. The guitars sound weird in some parts with the rhythm, which is bad since they're kind of like the support of the song. The lead is good and gives a nice ambience. I gave it an E because of the guitar. It's like it feels like the rhythm is out. Like if you like there's some parts, and it gets too distracting for me. Like
I would
especially on that.
expect you to say that as a guitarist. I expect you to really hone in on guitars.
Like especially like here. No, it's not that one. It's the one before. No. Yeah, that part. It always messes with my mind.
all right.
Every single time. Like first time I heard this song. But yeah, like this part itself, when they're like clean with the rhythm, like I like it. But I can't get into it when there's like the tempo things. So that's why I gave it an E.
All right.
Every album needs an E.
I guess. Yeah, it's very true. Look at that, everyone. Yeah.
Spoilers, maybe not.
Collaboration between me and my friend Lizzie. This is what, if we did more music together, it would sound more like this stuff. Minus the guitar part you don't like. I guess I'll keep that in mind for future tracking stuff. But this is what me and Lizzie collaboration would sound like.
Yeah, it sounds good. It's just the timing. Like it
Sure.
kind of messes me
Yeah,
up.
yeah.
It's just that's like the support. Because like the rest is pretty good. Like if the guitars were fine, I'd put it not a D, like a C.
Yeah, I got a bunch of okay songs. I got a bunch of C's. Like, I'm the world's okayest musician. I love it.
ain't bad.
There's bands I would have most on a D and the E. So, like the way I rank things is if I put like for example an Architect song on a C, I would match that. I can just say it's a C for you. It's a C for everyone else. So if, for example, if I have a S here, I can put any S song, like my favorite songs. It matches a.
Oh damn! So you're actually saying I could contend with some songs then?
Like yeah, if I made a list of my favorite songs like S's, I would put this one there.
Oh,
Like it's not an S for you. That's why you have a lot of C's.
all right.
Because for example, if I get a song from Bring Me the Horizon that I call it a B, I would say this B needs to match it, and this one doesn't. If I just say for you, like everything would go up a rank.
Looking at the history of all my C's as an indie artist, I'll accept those. But to be honest, I accept your F and your E's and your D's. I accept all of them. Like that's all feedback is fair.
I'm not saying they suck. I'm saying I think this.
No, it's fine. No, I mean,
If I,
you're more generous about my original album than I am. But yeah. But I'm so picky and biased about it. So
we're always our biggest critics.
oh yeah, there's nothing you will say to hurt my feelings that I haven't already destroyed my own self-esteem from. Yeah.
Okay, Requiem. Stupid iPad. This is the same chord progression as Avalanche, I believe. Easter egg? No.
Not intentional. No.
The beginning, it kind of feels like it is. Like, that song's almost.
Can I hear it? Huh. Maybe. Not intentional. It's definitely not intentional because I wrote this song before I discovered Bring Me the Horizon.
Fair. But like I only noticed when I was listening to the last time for the review. I was like,
Yeah. That's coincidental, unintentional. I that was not my intent. Yeah.
The synth play is very 2010 Linkin Park. Nice tribute. And maybe have the guitar play moving with the pan instead of just being like here. This is very depressing though. It has that feeling. Rest in peace, Chester.
Yeah.
The ending is a nice surprise by changing most of the stuff, but keeping the vibe. I gave it a B.
Nice.
The ending of the song is probably my favorite almost out of the whole album. It's a very fantastic closure.
Can we hear it? Can I hear it? Take me to like the 2/3 through.
I think it's after this thing.
Okay. I just want to hear it really quickly. It's coming, unless it's over.
It's a like here. No, it's
Alright,
like here.
It's coming. It's right there. Yeah, this is a Requiem is the Requiem, you know? It's supposed to be somber and I guess depressing.
It is.
I wrote it, 2 days after he died or something. I was like, all right, how can I express what I'm feeling? Boom. So, yeah.
Just those 3 notes at the end.
Yeah.
Well, I guess 3 notes or 2 notes in a chord or something.
And then yeah, that was very shitty times.
Yeah.
Let's move on to Forward, which is not. It's the song you hate. Will go fast, but it's funny. Like you have the most dark, sad song, and then you just go with this happy one.
It's more continuity in regards to the my concept album ends with Requiem, but to give a Easter egg, I put Forward in there as a here's the first song I wrote, here's the last song I wrote, and then I switched the order. I was never gonna have Forward open the album, and I just did it to be fair to everyone, to be honest with everyone, to say that
It does feel like a closing song.
ah.
This really feels like a hopeful song with the key and the beat fits right at the end. The beat is very patternized again compared to the more recent songs. I like the outro ending. Actually made the song go up a level in my opinion. It's a good closer. Would actually be a worse song anywhere on the album. And I give it a C.
Wow. Placement matters. Yeah. Again, you could tell it's an early Time After Ashes, like the first Time After Ashes song, because it has that interlude at the end. That was just something I was into doing in 2014, 2015, 2016. If it had an elongated interlude at the end of the song, I wrote the song between 2014 to early 2016. So Easter egg, again, if you ever hear any unreleased demos and it has that, you can gauge the timeline based off of that.
Yeah. I think I have this song here. Ah, fuck. Taking back what's mine. Oh my god.
The song is
thought I-
taking back what's it's in the audio right now.
The audio. There's some weird reverb going after the guitars, which I don't feel like it's needed. If the chorus had 2 or 3 less words somehow, it would be way catchier. I like the lyrics. The key change on the bridge is a nice change. Screamy Randy, best Randy. The last chorus could have had that extra background vocals to make it super big before dropping for the scream. When you scream mine. It's a very good style that blends both the rock and the instrumental albums. I gave it a B.
Cool. Yeah. Lyrically, it was the perfect
It's
single
not an
to...
It's not an
not a
S. It's not an S like the Connor cover.
No, nobody can beat Connor's cover. No, that's rip. I'm sorry he took it down.
It's sad. I wish I had recorded that.
Man, me too. I didn't think Connor would delete it, but he did.
Yeah,
I miss it.
sad.
Yeah, lyrically, this was my like I don't want to be what you want me to be song. This was my way of sticking it to people in a way that like I'm more than just like everybody wants you to be in a box. Like Randy's good at doing this type of music. And I was like, no, I don't want to be just that, because I wrote the demo around the time I did Taylosive and FBT stuff. And I was like, I don't just want to do synth, I want to do this. But nobody was interested in this. They wanted me to do that. No, just talk about Apple, Randy. No, just do this. Everybody's always telling me to be something, and who I want to be conflicts with what people expect from me, and that's basically the driving force of the lyrics of it. I try to write anything that I sing on. I try to in written form. I try to make it make sense where it's maybe a poem or it's more. It's story. Like no word is ever said unintentionally. Everything always has a reason for it. And this one, as like, this is my single because I closed down Time After Ashes as a project. I stepped away from it. It was just me, and there was a fear of like, now I got to put myself out there like this. My cushion was writing Twilight and Halo when I did. That gauge that, all right, people aren't just gonna not listen to it. Some people listen to it, but how can I give you rock while also giving you what you like from me with the electronic stuff? So this is me blending the instrumental with the singing and all that stuff. I could have started with a different single, a lead single, but this one felt the most palatable for people to. If I did death metal as my first single, I would lose everybody except you. So
I would be even more into it.
Yeah, no, I have to be careful about how I did that because I don't want to I don't want to cause such a rift that like, how can you do, this Nick song and have fun and then have something where you're just deep growl screaming. Yeah. So, I like all music. I like country. I like,
Country
folk.
can be cool.
I like everything. There's not a genre that I don't like, but that doesn't mean everyone else agrees with that. So how can I make it mine? And in this case, how do I take it back? So, yeah.
I think the only thing that I don't like about this song, or at least is a negative for me, is the amount of words that are shoved into a stanza at some points.
That's what I said. Like if you take if some words were not there, like the melody could actually flow more, which is a thing you actually worked on, like on Finding Home. It also had the same problem, but then when you worked with Derek, it was better. Like you can use, for example, the chorus for Holding On. It's like a few words, but it's catchy. Sometimes you want to fit all the message there, and it gets hard. I know. Taking Back What's Mine acoustic. It's more heartfelt than the original, obviously. The range in your voice is also the best spot for you. The kind of rushed parts from the original here don't feel as rushed due to the tempo being a little bit slower. It's an improvement overall. Could be even better without the small imperfections on timing due to breathing, but that's a performance thing. I gave it an A.
Woo. This is your guys' fault. I was never going to put that song out.
I mean, it's above that one, so shut the fuck up.
I guess, yeah. I was never gonna. I had no intention. That's why the cover art for it is just from the video. I had no intention of putting it out. It was just promo. I was doing promo cycle at that point, and part of promo sometimes means adding different variances to something you're trying to promote. And you guys, I knew the reaction was gonna be big on it. When I finished recording it, before I even announced I was gonna do an acoustic version, I was like, man, the way Eva was talking about wanting an acoustic version, I was like, this is not gonna age well for the actual lead single. But I didn't want to do a professional recording of a performance. I wanted to keep the imperfections the same way I kept the imperfections for Easier to Lie. This is just what would I sound like in 2021 as opposed to 2010 or whenever I wrote Easier to Lie. So yeah, that album or that song came out strictly because of that. You want to talk about fanfare? That was peer pressure to me. I had no intention of putting that out, and then hindsight, looking back about a year later, I'm glad.
This somehow slipped through my feed. I didn't know that the acoustic version existed, and already I like it a lot more. Just for what Simon said, the slower pacing that it has allows for more. Because he has more time. And the lyrics definitely flow a lot more smoothly, which I'm a big fan of.
I don't always want to overpower with like yelling or whatever. So here I actually practice with strength again, and you hear more like control. And well, actually, hang on, it's coming up right now. I just like, instead of screaming, I just like ooh. So here, hold on, I'll just be quiet for a second. I felt that was more appropriate than yelling.
Yeah.
So I just wanted, it felt different enough that I could release it as another single. And there's two versions of it. There's a rockier version, and then there's a
Piano version.
melodic version, and that's what this is.
Let's move on, because we've been 2 hours and 30 minutes on this.
Thank you, Ryan, for recording all this. Unless he didn't. I'm not reading the chat.
The pacing for the voice fits way better. Get hints from Mike. The breathing also helps improve the singing itself. It feels different enough from the original. It's more dark and it's a good exercise in practicing. The percussion sounds good here. The fade out before the chorus really hits. I don't have much negative to criticize here. I just won't go an S because it's a cover. So, A.
It's my cover. I like this version more than the original.
Mm-hmm.
There was something I wanted to bring. I wanted to bring that. Kind of like when you and I did like Animals, for example, or One More Light. Like I always, when I look at taking someone else's song, like what would it sound like if I had written it? And it's a different exercise of the mind because, all right, I don't have to come up with lyrics, but I could probably change the melody. I could probably change the execution. And so, like when we did Animals, that was a good exercise of like, what would it sound like with my voice instead of Sam's? I like doing some covers. I don't want to be a cover artist because that's boring to me. If I never put out another song and I was a behind the scenes songwriter, I would be okay with that because I just know how to write songs. But sometimes, like when it comes to a cover of anything, like I always go like, how would this sound like if I had written it? And then I come at it the exact same way. And it's just as challenging as writing an original piece to me. It's hard to give justice to a song, I guess. There's an expectation. If I did One More Light, anybody who listens to One More Light is immediately gonna be like, this is trash. And I'd be like, I'm not trying to sound like Chester. I'm trying to do how we would have sounded like. Yeah. So it's a hard balance.
That I think the Ryan's iPad is starting to warm up, so he should get this done fast. He posted a photo and his iPad is like warm. Finding home. I think that's what the photo was. That tempi. Oh, it's his head. Oh, never mind. I thought that was the iPad. Okay. So we can have time. There's too many words going on again. The vibe is very chill. I like the break. The beat could have some variation somewhere. I think the distortion gets a little too loud at the end. Could have automated it to be slightly lower. I like the ending. Could have dropped the piano before the voice. And I gave it a C.
It's a love song.
Maybe you want
on the technical side. It's a love song.
Yeah.
I do a lot of like, I don't know, like despair type of stuff. So what would it be like if I wrote a love song? This is a love song. Thing that
yeah, and we can go straight into Wings because it's basically, I said it's an improvement over the previous one in every way. The lyrics flow better and has some of that Time After Ashes nostalgia. There's nice harmonies when you both are singing. And with this one, I went A.
Yeah, that's what happens when I have Derek with me. Like that to me as a thing. I still produced it. I still mixed it. I went back to Finding Home and I was like, how can I make you better? Wings then came into existence, but Wings was written first before Finding Home, before I moved. But how the lyrics sounded. What I'm trying to do in Finding Home is because it's missing Derek. So I have to resort to using distortion and all these other techniques. But when I have Derek with me, I can just be more authentic. And that's where I think he's my perfect co-pilot when it comes to these types of things. The idea,
I think
the
it's
reason
also a thing of working together with someone. It's also, it makes things better to have someone like saying both opinions on a song than just, okay, I'll do this song. But if you have like, I think this, I think that, you can work around something to make the best of both.
I have a problem with like isolating my own voice on certain things to be able to make it sound, I don't know, better, I guess. Where like Derek, I can objectively hear Derek and I know how to mix his voice better, which is why he sounds better on this version. And with Derek doing that, I was able, again, I went back to the song, how can I make it better? The mix is better. I remixed the whole song. I found proper play. This is probably the best mixed song I've done on a song. Everything has its place. Nothing is clashing with frequencies here. And my lessons I learned from Wings releasing it this year will roll over to every song I do going forward because I now know how to do a perfect blend of mixing. I hate mixing. That's why when you mix things like animals or anything, please, you mix it. I hate mixing. I'll master it. I'll make that pop. You mix it. I've gotten better at mixing now. So
I mean, it's a necessity.
I know, but I don't like it. It's like editing a video. Nobody likes editing a video. Do you have to?
I mean, there's people that actually like it. They're weird.
I am not that person.
I'll move on. Could have had more Smash at the beginning.
You told me that.
I mean, you fucked with me because of the animals thing. So now every small thing, you're gonna get it.
It's good feedback. It's good feedback. That's why I agree with your feedback.
Yeah.
It's good feedback.
I think the timing on the chorus, on the singing, it's a bit off in some words. I like the bridge. I wish it had more of the percussion building up midways, around 1 minute and 44 seconds. There's a nice changing on the drums at the end. It's cool to have like the chorus 2.0 thing. Some parts of the song have like one word too much in the melody. It's the same problem, but not as bad here. And I gave it a B.
All right.
If you don't want to say anything, we move on.
Let's move on.
I'll move on then.
I'll move on.
Neon Sunrise.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, this one doesn't have a lot written because people were talking on voice chat while I was listening. Neon Sunrise, there's some nice changing of pace throughout the song. Has that classic Randy sound of the instrumental albums. I like the new synth that comes midway. The panning also adds some good variation and movement. It's a good example of a longer song, but keeps things interesting throughout the whole compared to, for example, the first album. And I gave it an A.
All right, now I have to disagree with you. That is absolutely god tier. That's the one thing I have to.
I know
if you get one golden buzzer moment, this is my golden buzzer. That bitch deserves to be S tier.
and just to fuck with you, when I was listening during the live on Instagram, on YouTube, I actually gave it a B because when I was listening with the headphones at work, but it was too quiet. And then when I was listening today, yeah, it's an A, but I wouldn't go S because for me it's below Will I Find You. And being below, I can't give it an S because
controversial statement. Ooh.
Yeah, I would say it's closer. I would say it's below some of that are here, but it's still below this one, and it's closer to these than that, in my opinion. And that's why I.
The more I sit with the song right now, and it might be because it's so new, but for me, I think it's probably the best song I've ever instrumentally. I think it's the best song I've ever written. Like, period. If I put words on it, this would like. That's the song that should be on my grave or whatever. I'm sure. You know, like I love this. I love what I did with it. It's one of those things where, to me, with like the "Will I Find You Again in the Next Life," it's like I go like, "Wow, I wrote that." It's interesting because I'm hearing my own evolution on a technical side of what I'm doing. I'm getting more riskier with the electronics. I'm taking those risks and they're paying off.
I would say technical wise, I would say this one it's above here because like this part.
I played it safe with that one, with the S tier one. That's why it's like I would give it at least up there because I'm taking risks. It's paying off. Where on Will I was playing it safe and yeah.
I know.
Anyway,
maybe it's nostalgia. I don't know, but
it might be. No, I again, I agree with your.
Maybe in a year it would be. Maybe in a year, maybe in a year you say, maybe I'll put this thing here, like. It's too new, but
like that little thing going on right there. I was surprised I got that in the mix so well, but that was a result of Wings. I was able to do that. So
Practice.
me mixing, Wings is what made me make this album sound so good. On a technical side,
Yeah. Points
gave
of
it wings.
view.
that's right.
Points. Let's move on. Points of view. It's a very different song to the other instrumentals. This really feels like it needs something on top to finish it up. There's enough space to add vocals, and at the end there's like a nice B kind of sounding effect with the pants, and I gave it a C.
It feels like there's room to put some down because I wrote it to be a song, and I'm very confident I'm gonna turn that into a song. I already have working concepts with it.
I think Neon Sunrise, you said that you wanted to kind of add vocals, but I think it kind of stands by itself.
If I add vocals to Neon Sunrise, they're gonna be like acoustically Taking Back What's Mine and regular Taking Back What's Mine. They're gonna stand on their own merits. They will be different.
Okay.
But Points of View is an
This one
instrumental
feels like
that's
it is.
missing. It's missing vocals because it's gonna get vocals.
Needs
This was
that
gonna be the album
lead on
opener for the longest time. I was gonna have it be the album opener, but then I wrote Neon Sunrise. I'm like, nope, that's it.
top. Mhm. Reinvented. The movement on the synths are great and well played. Like here, I don't have a lot of things to say, but yeah, like when you released this song, I think December. I think I even messaged you. Or
December
commented
31st.
somewhere. Yeah,
New
I think
Year's
I
Eve.
even messaged you or replied or commented somewhere that I think this, like, technical wise, I think this is one of the best songs you had until then.
Yes, I agree.
And I gave it an A.
I agree. That was that. If I could sum up anything on a technical side on 2021, Reinvent It was the New Year's Eve closer for the year, because I started the year with Twilight, put out New Dawn, did all these singles, which most of them seem to have made it to A tier, so I was doing something right. Reinvent It, I wanted to purposely make it an instrumental. Maybe one day put lyrics, who cares? But Reinvent It on a technical side is like, this is a perfect way to sum up 2021 for me. I was taking risks with the electronics. I got good synths and pianos and it's
like this part itself, like
Mhm.
like there's a lot of stuff that's risky, but it paid off.
After
I'm more
listening
inclined
to
in
it-
general to. I'll do more risks going forward. I feel like taking risks now. I don't want to play it.
You don't
safe
lose
anymore.
anything with it.
Yeah.
Sure. After listening to this a couple times, it definitely isn't the case, but it sounds almost like a love letter to the Portal series. If you've ever played Portal, there's, especially in Portal 2, a lot of that synthy, factory, like almost industrial, but also very new age that this brings out, or at least in some reality is reinvented in a way from it. That, I don't know, something I interpreted from the song that I don't know if anyone else has, but
Somebody, I think somebody called it a Muse song, or something on this album was a Muse song. I was like, whoa, I've never been compared to Muse before.
That's a good comparison. Yeah. The Last Day. The piano is very beautiful, as everyone saw in the comments when this played on the stream. Maybe there could be some more elements to make it more of a song and less like a background style of playing, but it's great for its purpose. The beat here, the beat at the end fits like a glove, and I gave it a B.
Nice. The Day the World Stood Still, not same chords, but this has been my better lo-fi version of that. That was me taking on that challenge of perfecting lo-fi.
Yeah, but it's
Which
very
means
different.
background. Like, it's definitely meant to be a background song, which is why I have it the way it's a background song.
Okay. Sounds from Apart.
What a trash song that is, isn't it?
Yes. What? I didn't write a lot here because I'm in it. I said it's completely different to every other song on the Dawn albums, which you mentioned.
Facts. Yep.
And collabs with collabs you make always sound great, so you should do more of those. and I like particularly the ending. Like when I did the dive there, like it wasn't meant to sound like that, but I pulled the whammy too much, and it sounded like it, and I keep it, and then this kind of feels like it needs more, and then I added the clean stuff, kind of like. I back then I thought about some other song to kind of like emulate that. I don't remember which one, but yeah, it kind of needed that something to fill the gaps. And biased, maybe I gave it an A. So
I think
not
it's a
an
good
S.
placement. I agree with everything you said. I think it's a great song. It's the most different. It shows, like I said, this is what a me and Lizzie would sound like. This is what a me and Brandon would sound like. This is what a you and me would sound like. And I like that sound a lot. And I do want to do more stuff like that.
I feel like the only thing that if I could change, I would be the rhythm guitars.
You stuck true to my source material this time around. Where I give you credit for, like, you didn't write. You only added. You decorative. You put the sprinkles on the cake or whatever analogy. Like you polished it for me, but you stuck to my rhythm, my writing of all that stuff. So, and to be fair to your credit, then this is where you're staying in my. I gave you the parameters. Play to this, but that's all you. I didn't do that. Yeah, so you have your chance where you break out, but it doesn't sound like you more than it sounds like me, and you're playing to my thing. So it would be interesting, like if I gave you complete freedom control to it, it would have sounded. I'm sure it would have sounded completely different.
And I actually felt like I had a lot of playroom. Like you sent me the song, and you said something, and you sent me the song to listen, and I think this needs like proper guitars on the leads because it was MIDI.
Yeah.
So when I got it, basically the thing I re-recorded the melody, but like give some emotion to it. Then maybe this needs some harmonies because it kind of feels empty. And then I just kept adding harmonies and octaves. And then I replaced the drums, the ones you had with my plugin, to make them some more acoustic. Give some of those cracks smash, and then basically at the end. I feel like the rhythm guitar, like when I had the 7th minor harmonics, kind of feels like there should not be an harmonic there because it kind of feels like a flat tone when everything is together. And if I could now, I would maybe just keep the same note on both sides. Yeah. Basically, I picked up the song and let me just add a bunch of things that I know how to do, like with the.
You're very good. You know how to play to my strengths and make it better. You know how to make it pop.
Yeah. So I even did the thing with the drums. Like you add the drums, I replaced it, and then let me just add another kick here, like change the hi-hat here a little.
No, it sounds great. I love what you did to it. It's a great song. I don't disagree with its placement. If I was ranking it, it would be an A for me.
Soft whispers. This is mother tongue. It kind of feels like this beat. Yeah. I think I think it's the weakest song on this album. There's not like anything that's very specific to it. Like there's something that's missing. So I gave it a D.
Interesting. This is actually my favorite song on the album.
Hey.
This is, I think, what's needed after your song, Simon.
Yeah, it is a little. Yeah, that's true.
Which is why I placed it where it was. I wanted to give that ear. Instead of giving a long interlude, here's a proper song.
Yeah, what was I gonna say? Like, for example, like that's how different people taste. For example, if Randy put a full deathcore song in here, for example, that would be my favorite. It would feel completely out of place, sure, but it would be my favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like I like this. I like the song, but I think like there's not like a thing to it. Like it's a good background song. Like how many are?
I agree. It definitely is background, but I don't know. I think both the chords and the rhythm at times definitely captures my attention. Even though, like you said, it is kind of like a background lo-fi-esque song. I don't know.
But see, like I said it's for me it's the weakest, and it's still above like these two albums, so improvement and Ace.
Sweet, number 6 on the list from the bottom.
Yeah.
True. Distant Memories. The piano at the beginning here sounds pretty good. The strings, when you add them like here and more throughout the song, they are too robotic, I think. And I think songs like this one kind of need the vocal melody on top to carry it, because it's very like you can kind of hear a voice here, and I think it's missing that. And I think if you made this like a proper song or to play around with it, I think it would gain more from it. So I gave it also a D.
All right.
I feel like there's like I can see a voice, or like those songs that it's pretty much just a guitar soloing, but more of the voice. I feel like it needs that, because you have the lows, you have the mids, the low mids, you have the highs here.
I don't have that mid high.
I just don't have the mid high.
Yeah. I've toyed around with some vocal concepts on it, like points of view. It's something that I've considered turning into which it sounds stripped, but yeah, it almost didn't make the cut. Like I said when I streamed it, this was the song that was the last minute ad, but I was like, all right, good enough, let's do it. That's good.
It feels like fireflies drifting off into the night sky to me.
I like that analogy.
I think that's
I'm writing that down. Watch, Mike. Okay. That's gonna end up as a lyric. Like fireflies drifting off into the night sky. Bet.
A place to escape. The guitar sounds very good, so do more collabs like that. I think midway it kind of asks for a smash somewhere, but that's maybe a me thing. Overall, I think there should be some more variation on the song, because the guitar sounds pretty good, but there's something that's missing. Maybe like a even guitar on top of the guitar, or some more synths. And I gave it a C. If there was that extra, I think it could actually get to A, because it's like a good foundation.
Funny enough, this was me having to work around less. I did not get a full session with Brandon this time around, which is why it's not like Halo. And getting him to give me more material would have turned into a whole different song as a whole. So that's why you hear repetition in his guitars, because that's really all I had to work off of, and I had to get creative around that. So I looped it and made it background music instead.
Because I really like the guitar, like it's fantastic. But like from like on this part where we are now, I feel like there should be more extra on top of it.
Yeah.
Because it has this thing, it stops, it has this thing again slightly different, and then stops, and you're basically like midway. And like here will be kind of similar still. Just
to me, this one reminds me of almost like a fighter jet or a Cessna or something high up in the clouds, whether it's making tight maneuvers or it's just coasting at times, when you kind of have these lull moments where not much is going on. But this is probably my second favorite song, or maybe third favorite song in the album.
I'm vibing to your analogies, Mike. I like that.
He's hitting all the analogies. I think he's just doing things with the songs on it. Like, yeah, this fits here, and it's just giving the activities that he's doing to you. Yeah, like it's a good background song. I like that. Like, as a standalone like a thing, for example, I can listen to these ones by themselves. These ones kind of like I can have it on the background, but I can just like be focused listening to it. Yeah.
That's why I also added the fade to it too, because I really wanted to drive home the point that it's meant to just really be a passive thing for you. And yeah, I did the 80s fade.
Max likes that. Bliss. It feels like a proper full song, even without the vocals. Kept a lot of change, but not breaking the rhythm wise. And I gave it a B.
I love that song. It's up there with Neon and Will I.
Yeah, I was thinking about both, but I gave it with a B because I wouldn't put it like exactly like these, so that's why I keep B.
Okay. Yeah, it's a good song.
But I like this
Bliss
5
was the
years.
song that inspired me to finally just, man up and just do a proper trilogy. Because I was so dead set of not doing one. But I liked how Bliss turned out. Bliss is what drove every song afterwards on that record to be what it was. So I needed Bliss to be what it was when it was.
Blissful.
Yeah.
Lossless Oasis. Because wasn't this when Lossless became a thing?
Yep.
Knew it. What did I write? This sounds very game soundtrack, like this part. It's a good background song. The ending with the new synths adds that last change to keep it interesting. I gave it a C.
Okay. Yeah, this one was the most unique chord progression and chord, like even what key I wanted to play, and this felt unlike anything I've did so far.
Yeah, it does.
It feels, like Arabian Nights or something. I don't know. It feels very.
This kind of feels like an exploration game.
Yeah, this.
Or even a video game like quiz stuff.
Yeah. To me, it sounds the most different in chord progressions and stuff. I got creative with it.
And it's also a very different vibe.
Yeah.
Where
Last
Destiny
song
meets choice. Like by this point, everyone was on voice chat, so I couldn't properly write something. I just wrote, "It's a good closer."
It is a good closer.
Like everyone
Good
was talking,
closer.
and I couldn't properly focus on writing. It is a good closer. And it's a good song.
Yeah.
And it kind of has like everything you've done on these 3 albums.
If we start it with Into the Void / Ring Planet, it started with that and it ends with Where Destiny Meets Choice. That body of work is they all have a theme in song structures and stuff like that, whether it's background or standalone, like up there songs. And this was I knew when I wrote that song, when I finished it and I finished mixing, like, this is the best way to conclude this project. So this 3-year project
Has a little bit of everything.
Yep. It all bodies of work of everything is in there.
And
You get your
Remember when
lo-fi.
you wrote
You get.
this?
I know. I
great.
started struggling at first, and then I was like, "Oh, here we go," and then it
Definitely got the rhythm, or like at some point. It took you a while, but you got there, and I think definitely the end shows that you mastered the song, or at least you attained some level of like knowledge of what the song was supposed to be, especially with the end where it fades away.
Fun fact, and Simon might not remember. I don't know, but it's his guitars at the end. He just did a few chord progressions. I don't think he remembers.
I remember one time you telling me like, do a chord progression on this, and I gave you a few different rhythms.
Nope, that's not this one. No.
Oh, that's part of the sounds. Okay.
This one, you were driving home, listening to the live stream, and I said, what this needs is better guitars, someone who's more technical than me.
Okay.
And you got home and you did that, and you just dropped it in our little folder that we share, and I pulled it down, I put it in.
Was that when we created the folder?
No, we created the folder when we did.
Mm.
No,
I
but
know,
with that particular one, it was you did it so quick on the spot, but I needed that technicality.
There's the 20th of September.
Is that when I did this stream? I don't remember.
I have. There's a folder called Stream Guitars.
I'm sure that's it. Then.
That's the only thing that's in there, so maybe that's it.
It sounds about it at the time I wrote this song, so I'm sure that's what it is. But yeah, your guitars were provided. I was like, do these chords, bop, 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 and you just did it out really quickly. You gave me one left, one right, dropped them in. I worked on it really quickly, and that was that. And it has everything. It has the lo-fi. It has the repetitiveness.
Yeah,
It has
that's
a standaloneness. Yeah, it has it all.
That's the chord and the tone. Yeah.
Cool. So
Where's
perfect
my
closer.
feet, bro?
No, it's not a feature. No, you got writer's credit though. I gave you writer's credit, but it's not a feature. Feature is when you do like you're actually like straight up like sounds from a part. That's rightfully a feature.
I am joking.
I feel bad that I didn't give Brandon a feature, but he doesn't have an artist page. Like that's another one that's a proper feature.
I think you can create it.
I can't. I tried. It's demanding that I link to something on Spotify and Apple, and I'm like, I don't. There's nothing there. So the best I could do is writer's credit. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well. And that's where it ends.
So we have one S tier.
And a decent amount of A's.
What are my A's? Can you read the A's to me?
Holding on Live, Twilight,
Cool.
Taking Back What's Mine Acoustic, What the Words Meant, Wings, Neon Sunrise, Reinvented, and Sounds from Apart.
Hey man, even the last album is indicator of my evolution, where all the From Tragedy stuff is lower half.
Yeah, because like he has three here, 3 here, 3 here. And, like the first one has 1 here, but 3 doesn't have anything in A's and 3 in the B's. Save. And also
Ryan points out in the chat you've got 3 images at the bottom. Are those just album covers or?
Yeah, it's album covers that I forgot to delete.
That's interesting.
Because I was
Simon?
adding text to the covers so I could have it there. Randy.
Well, I appreciate hearing your thoughts from a artist and technical perspective of it. That was fun. I don't think anyone has or will again rank every single song I've ever done. That
3 hours.
Yeah, my goodness.
And your analytics are going up. And they'll tank a lot.
Thank you,
week,
Portugal.
Because I probably won't hear these things for a while.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll drop this photo in music.
Cool. This
Ryan,
is
you
awesome.
can cut.
Simon.
Yeah, you could cut, man. Yeah, I
I
appreciate
really
it, man.
enjoyed that, guys. I have never heard any of those